Don't be stupid, boys. Turn off Clyde, support your side.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, still scratching around in the same old hole. My body feels young, but my mind is very old. So what do you say? You can't give me the dreams that are mine anyway. I've been lost, I've been found, but I don't feel bad.
Whatever happened to Leon Trotsky? He got an ice pick that made his ears burn. Whatever happened to dear old Lenin, the great O'Meara, and Sancho Panza? Whatever happened to the heroes? Whatever happened to the heroes? Whatever happened to
Good day, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. You're listening to the Half the World Away Celtic podcast from Hail Hail Media. My name's Kevin O'Neill and I live in Mandurah in Western Australia, originally from Coatbridge. And over the other side of this marvellous continent of Australia in Melbourne, Victoria, is my good colleague and friend, Mr. Patrick Close. Good day, Pat.
G-Day, Kevin, how are you?
G-Day, mate. I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, fine and dandy. Fine and, well, I guess after the result, not quite so fine and dandy. We'll get into that very soon, Kevin, but yes. Let's not end the show right away now.
No. We will get to that. Now, also, regular is also in Victoria, Martin Kelly. How are you, Martin?
I'm very good, Kev. How's yourself, mate?
Yeah, very good, buddy.
Kev, he's not in Melbourne, remember, Kev?
Oh,
what did we talk about before?
No, I didn't say Melbourne, I said Victoria.
I know, but you did say.
And I think you'll find that's... Because we're all in Victoria this evening, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
Hey, our surprise caller, Mr. Surprise Caller, don't say anything. Can you just mute your microphone? You're rustling around as if you're in the grass, buddy. You know who you are.
Surprise caller.
Yeah, surprise caller.
Right, have
So
you
anyway,
stopped
Kev,
rustling around?
He's rustling around. I don't know. He's in the grass. Yeah.
He hasn't actually said anything yet, but anyway, a surprise caller that's just joined us. Oh, he's laughing now.
how you going?
Yourself, surprise caller.
Is it Rod?
How you going, guys?
It's our good friend, Mr. Jimmy Kinlan.
Oh,
How you doing, Kev? You good?
Very good, mate. Very good.
That's all right.
Kev, do you know he's been on at me all week. Are you having a show? Are you on it? I want to come on it. And I swear to God, Kevin, the show
I
had
wanted
started
to-
about
what?
2 nanoseconds and he was on the line. 2 nanoseconds, I reckon.
I'm glad to hear it because 2 nanoseconds before the show started, there was only me and Pat. We got Martin on quite sharply.
I was just wanting to hear Chris to see if he's sober enough to talk.
Well, the thing is, see, Chris can't come on the line because you've just taken the last space up. You're
Oh, really? Oh, no, I'll get after it.
No,
there's one more space. There's one more space.
There is. There's always room for another.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's always room for another. So anyway, that's who we've got for starters tonight. Now, as you've heard, hopefully we'll get Chris McMonigal on, and I think Chris, if he does come on, it might be a fleeting visit. He might be on and off as quick as you can, but we'd like Chris to come on and give us all an update. We've talked about it on the show for a few weeks now. It's a fantastic idea. It's going to be the Huddle Down Under in the Gold Coast, or on the Gold Coast, I should say, next year. And it's shaping up to be a fantastic weekend, but we're hoping Chris will come on and tell us a little bit more about it. And if Chris doesn't, I'm sure, Pat, you'll be able to fill us in anyway, but we do want Chris to come on. Now, also, my parents are holidaying in Oz just now, and I hope to have my dearest father on the show as well tonight at some point, but he is dropping my wife at a restaurant for a little works night out just now, so I have instructed him to when he comes back to grab a 2's extra dry from the fridge because he likes his Teds, and come and join us in my son's studio for the show. But we'll see how that goes because he might be a bit shy, but he did say to me the other night he's definitely come on, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, without further ado, if you do want to get in touch with us tonight, the best way to do that is most likely Twitter. You can send your tweets to @halftheworld88. So any questions you've got or any comments you'd like to make on what we're saying during the show, by all means, if you're listening live, you can tweet us. If you do want to Skype us in, again, usually we have a bit of bother if there's too many on the call, but we can usually cram about four different callers on at one time. So if you do want to Skype us in, you can Skype us at halftheworld88 again. Or if you're in the Spreaker chat room and you fancy just putting some spiel in there, you can make your comments in there. And Patrick, as always, will be keeping his eye on the chat room, won't you, Pat? No, he's not even listening to me.
Yeah,
That's what mute buttons do for you, Kev. Hello to Billy Sweeney's already there, and Gartozzi, if that means something, is already there. So, good day, guys.
It's all good. Now, I should say, there has been a little theme for the last number of shows that we make sure that we fly into various parts of this glorious continent. And tonight, we've managed to get ourselves to another hilltop somewhere. This hilltop it's in Victoria, and it's called, Pat, what is it called?
Kev, it's the aptly named Mount Buggery.
So
we are broadcasting live from Mount Buggery. We were trying to find, we've done tits, we've done knobs, and we've done fannies. So we had to try and find something else. There was only one bit left, really, wasn't there? So we were going to come from Burrum Buttock, but we didn't think that was controversial enough. So we thought Mount Buggery is, about the best we could come up with. So hello to everyone. I'm at the top of Mount Buggery waving at you. Hello. So if anybody wants to have a look at where Mount Buggery is, you can get onto Google and there's a wee website. I might even tweet it. Should I tweet it?
Well, it's if you want, you can do the Victorian tourist industry. No endless good here, Pat, if you do that.
That's the whole idea, Kev. You know, obviously, I mean, there's going to be streams of people flying over here and going to Tittybong and stupid places like that. I'm fairly certain there will be. Yes.
And hopefully the Gold Coast next year as well.
Yes, well, I mean, if people actually were able to find out a bit about it, you know, I mean, if there was just somebody out there who might know one or do two little bits about, you know, what's happening in the Gold Coast, maybe they could come on and tell us, but, you know, maybe they're just a wee bit shy. Or pissed, actually, let me say, probably more about pissed, because as Jim will testify, we were getting a few messages during the day about where he was, and let me just emphasise, he was out doing research work for the Huddle Down Under. Right.
Good on you, Chris.
So he was, yep, and he's now about $800 worse off because his wife was taking advantage of the fact he was half cut, and went out on a spending spree. So the guy's probably absolutely delighted at the moment. So
hell mend you, Christopher. That's what happens when you go out on a lash on your research purposes, mate.
Aye.
But he does have a bit of, and Jim, let's not spoil this for the listeners. He does have a certain claim he made earlier today that was...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jim knows what I'm talking about, so hopefully he'll come on and tell us all about that, because that was quite amazing. So let's find out.
Bit outlandish.
It was, yes. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, so anyway, we're here from Mount Buggery, and yeah, it's somewhere in Victoria. I can't even
It's in the Alpine National Park, Patrick. Central Victoria.
It's near Mansfield, I believe. That's what I remember. It's up towards that area.
It is, mate. It's about 50 k's away from Mansfield, and it's 1,598 metres above sea level, actually.
You do know your geography, Kev.
Well, you know, my dad is a geography teacher. As I said, he might be joining us shortly, so I pick these things up over the years. Anyway, it's rubbing off. The reason we can't hear the wind blowing at such a high level is because we're well sheltered behind a big tree.
What?
Right, anyway, enough about Mount Buggery. Look it up. It's a very interesting place. You get a beautiful view from up here. But we're going to get on with the show, because this isn't all about Buggery. This show tonight. It's not all about that. It's about Celtic. This is a Celtic podcast, boys. It's not about Buggery or Hills or Victoria. So, boy, we have to talk about it. I don't usually like talking about games where we either underperform or don't do ourselves justice or are just pure pish. But we had the Champions League game the other night against... you certainly wouldn't say it's the AC Milan of old, but we came up against them at Celtic Park, where we like to think it's a bit of a fortress. But we were done over quite convincingly, guys. I'm going to come to you first of all, Jim, and ask you: Did you see the game, Colin?
Yes, I watched it.
What were your thoughts on it then, Jim? Give us a good summary, mate. Well,
it's a big sigh, man. That's no good. I mean, the worst thing that anybody's going to talk about is the defending. The defending was the worst. I cannot remember a game, honestly, in memory, where we've let in 2 goals like the 2 we let in. Not to start the game.
Yeah.
It really was. You always have that saying, you talk about schoolboy stuff. That was worse than schoolboy stuff. If you were a school teacher and that was your team, you'd be pulling them off and giving them hell. Yep. They 2 goals are awful, absolutely awful. just ball watching, not even doing nothing, just watching the ball. I don't know. That midfield was all right. It seemed to be okay. I mean, we were moving forward. We just showed the same as what we've done all through this campaign, that we've got no cutting edge. We created a few chances, never really at the end of the final ball who could stick it away. Even when we did get a couple of chances, we just don't have a goal scorer. The defence, I mean, the midfield. Some of the midfielders played all right. Lustig, I thought, was all right as well coming out, but the defence, I couldn't believe the goals waste. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't. The defence was the worst thing I've never seen a game like it with defending like that.
Yeah. I mean, Martin, you mentioned just before the show that unfortunately you just had a stream that you were able to catch, and it wasn't the best of streams. But I mean, from what you saw of the game or what you've read about the game, have you got any other views on it at all?
They were just much better than us. It's sort of that way. I totally agree with Jim. The defending was absolutely terrible. It was almost that you're watching it going, somebody has to just put their foot out, or somebody has. It wasn't. There was none of those goals that you were saying, "Oh Jesus, that was an absolute crack." That was a screamer. Yeah. Nobody could have got that. Yeah. And it wasn't also one defender having a bad game. It was the whole defence just standing there as Kaka puts the ball in the back of the net. Like it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't one of those that where you go, the Nakamura goal against Man United, and you go, how good was that? Nobody's going to stop that. It's Jesus Christ, can somebody just get in front of him? Yeah. That would be. I think we all agree it's not the AC Milan of old, but it's still AC Milan, and basically they were just much better than us. I think it's almost that simple.
Yeah. Pat, did you were obviously managed to watch the game as well, and did you have any other views on it at all? Did you see it any differently to the guys?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I did watch it. I caught it on Channel Dave, as it's becoming known in our house. Thanks, Davey, by the way, if you're listening. So yeah, it's they were better. They were, I guess, more composers, a bit more, I'm not going to say experience, but I mean, right across the whole park, I think they were just a class above us. I think, I think back to when we played in UEFA Cup, the year prior, so we had the likes of Rennes and stuff like that. It reminds me a little bit of that. It reminds me a little bit of just a team just a bit too naive, and I think. I don't know, but what you guys thought when I saw the lineup, I thought it was a fairly bold move to play such an attacking team. I'm just not sure about Samaras up front, and I'm not sure of Chris Commons being kind of the second striker. But I'm not convinced about those things. And having Bo Richter there and James Forrest, who they're not exactly renowned for tracking back, so it put a lot of strain and pressure on in the middle of the park as well. So I think right from the outset, I mean, Lennon kind of went for it. I'm not sure I would have went for it to the same sort of extent as what he did. So I know it's all right saying that in hindsight, but two out and out wide players. Samaras has probably been one of our best players in the competition for the past couple of years. Yeah. Playing him in a completely different position from what he normally plays in. You got a left back, a central defender, who's a backup left back playing the centre midfield. I do like Charlie Mulgrew, but really, are you going to win games like that playing Charlie Mulgrew in the middle of the park? Yeah. Are you really? Seriously?
No, I'm not saying yes. I'm just acknowledging your comment, Pat.
Yeah, I'm just not sure you get. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things. That's kind of one of the reasons we did the No More Heroes at the start of the thing. I think the big sort of debate is, we kind of went backwards a little bit since last year, and I mean, is that down to just like two guys kind of being out of that team from Wanyama and Hooper? Kelvin Wilson, we've improved the Kelvin Wilson position, so that negates that. We've got a better central defender than what we had there, but you take Wanyama and Hooper out of that, and it's I guess a distant memory of that sort of quality team we had with guys fighting for each other. But I think everyone knew. I think as soon as that first goal went in, it was going to be tough because Italian teams, undoubtedly are just once they got a goal up, they're really, really, really hard to beat, and I think that's the way it kind of proved as well.
Yeah.
But regarding the first goal, I mean, I know the guys have jumped in and talked about the first goal, but two things you can look at. You can say, all right, defending was bad, but one thing, and again, I'm just putting this out for discussion, is one, should Fraser Forster have come out for it? It was 5 yards out from goal. Yep. Should he be the man commanding that area? Well, the other way to look at it was, sorry, let's finish, because the other point of it is, was it just an absolutely brilliant cross? Was it actually pinpoint to the point where it was not defendable? Because if you look at it, there was actually two guys streaming. I mean, obviously, you're talking unmarked, but there was another guy, I can't remember who the player was, streaming into the back post as well. So,
well, it's interesting points you're making, and this is good timing actually, because my dear old dad, James O'Neill, who's on holiday from Coatbridge in sunny Mandurah now, and he has been for the last couple of weeks, has now joined me. He's dropped my darling beloved off at the restaurant, and he's made his debut on the podcast. Say good evening, Dad.
Good evening all.
Good evening, Mr. O'Neill.
Yeah, hail, sir.
Hail.
I'm sure you can call him. Well, since we've got Jim Kinlan on, maybe James, or Jamesy. Yeah, Jamesy, as he's fondly known by the boys back in Ergo Brad. Jamesy Quatter, as he gets known as. So we'll have Jamesy and we'll have Jim. So yeah, we've got Martin's in Victoria. Jim is in Queensland.
Sydney.
No.
Sydney. New South Wales.
Aye.
Sorry, Jim. I get confused.
That's all right.
You're thinking Jim Rennox.
Jim Rennox is up there in the calendar. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's right. And we've got Pat, who makes the things happen. He's the man that presses the buttons and does all the production and all that. He's the brains of the outfit. Pat's in Melbourne, but he's originally from Airdrie.
It's Pat Close.
Pat Close.
I used to drink with your old man, Pat.
You did not, did you?
I did indeed, in the Imperial.
We have to talk about later.
Right, we'll do that. Oh, this will be a 10-hour call. You've got an early start.
Yeah,
we'll do that. We'll do that offline. But anyway, yes, Pat made a point there. I'll call you Jamesy or Dad.
Yeah.
Jamesy. I usually do call him Jamesy anyway. But yeah, Pat made this point about Jim. Well, Jim had made the point earlier on that certainly the first couple of goals were diabolical in terms of defending, but Pat made that point there. The first goal, and you did scream this at about whatever it was, 4:15 when the goal went in or something in the morning. Should Fraser Forster have come for that ball, or was it an excellent cross?
Definitely the goalkeeper's fault. I watch him all season. He's very reluctant, for a big man, very reluctant to leave his line. Apart from somebody coming in with the ball, but for cross balls, he seems to be so reluctant to leave the line. If you watch other goalkeepers, like the Milan goalkeeper, any ball near the 6-yard box, he was out, and it was his. As soon as that cross comes in, as soon as a corner kick's taken, he should be out of the traps, basically. So I wouldn't blame the other defenders, because They, I'm sure they would think the same as I do, that the goalkeeper should have taken that ball.
See, I think Forster definitely should have. When he's looking around, it's in his area, but I would still, the defenders shouldn't be waiting for the keeper to react. If that ball's coming in, they should be reacting. And the first goal was bad enough because Kaká didn't. See, if he'd have made an outstanding run, then you could have taken your hat off to the guy, or if he lost his marker somehow. He didn't have a lot to do, Kaká.
He didn't even leave the ground.
He did nothing.
No, he didn't. He was rooted to the ground. He didn't even have to jump for the thing. It was such an easy goal. The second goal, though, was the one that annoyed me even more, because when that ball comes across, and I can't remember the Milan player that was at the back post to play it back across the box. Not only were our defence static for that ball coming over to that guy, they were completely static as it came back into the area, going towards the then back post for your wee man Zapata, whatever it is, who's only
first goal in 2.5 years.
First goal in 2.5 years. He's standing right, and that was the thing that was criminal for me. It wasn't just the ball watching as the ball came across first time round. It was the static defending and the ball watching as it came back across the goal. And the ironic thing for me is that we've got arguably the best centre half pairing we've probably had at Celtic. It's still in its infancy, but it's arguably the best centre half pairing we've had for a long, long time. And it's not often we're on here talking about how poor our defence is. I've been raving about Big Van Dijk for a few shows now. Effie is definitely getting back to the early form he showed when he signed for us. He's still liable to make the odd little error, but overall I think the pair of them as a central defensive partnership have been superb. So that's the thing that disappointed me more than anything, that because we've got such a strong, reliable defence, and it's been proven in the Champions League, it was just so disappointing that we found ourselves 2 goals down to an average AC Milan team. I know Martin and Pat, you had said, they're just better than us. I don't think that team, teams, Milan teams of the past, I would say yes, without a doubt. But that team that we were up against, they're struggling in the Serie A. Their fans are on their back. That's not an outstanding Milan team.
Could I come in, Kevin, and say, though, I think it was a combination of bad defending, particularly bad goalkeeping, and bad luck. Again, the luck we've had has been awful this season in those games. You had the sitter that Van Dijk missed.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute sitter.
Yeah.
You had the one in the first couple of minutes that came over to Bo Richter, which you could well have pulled down with his left foot and put in the net. Just a combination of all those. Yeah. Bad luck continued. We've been getting no breaks at all in Champions League.
Yeah.
When you're saying it first there, was it a great cross, was it bad defending, was it bad goalkeeping? I think it was all three. That first goal, I agree with you, Kev. I've been shouting Virgil's been the best. No, he's the jewel that we've signed.
Yeah.
But he moved away from Kaka in that first goal. Kaka never moved, and Virgil moved. There was nobody attacking the ball. You can say that Foster should have come out for the ball, and I agree. But the guy shouldn't be able to just. A wee guy takes a header into free header into the net. And that second goal, like you said, it came across about 7 of them or something. Come back to one guy in the back post, and they were just static.
Yeah.
Nobody moved. The cross came over. The guy who's hitting the ball back to the guy at the back post, he didn't have to do that. He side-footed it across from where he was standing. Again, he didn't have to go and attack the ball, and he did it. It came across, he side-footed it back across.
Yeah.
I was pulling my hair out.
The ball was threaded. There seemed about 6 Celtic players.
It went right through the whole lot. Yeah.
But
I don't know how.
Think of that cross. So I mean, like the reason that defenders didn't move. I mean, because bear in mind, like they play a zonal marking, or not zonal marking, but zonal defensive system.
And I hate that.
For most of the games that they play.
For another day.
Yeah, so that's the position they play, right? So that's the tactics they play. So they are put in certain positions around the box, around the 6-yard box, and they to defend when the ball comes in there. But the ball was nowhere near them. So there's not much the defenders can do. If they've been trained and they're drilled to be in that position, and when the ball comes to you, you attack it, then that's what you do. Anything over the back, maybe that's the keeper's thing. But there's just this thing that, like, Fraser Forster's he's not a stupid sort of player, right? The guys who coach him, Stevie Woods and like, aren't stupid coaches.
Yeah.
So why does he routinely and so commonly stay on his goal line in situations like this? Is it basically that's what he's told to do? Is it a case of you stand there, if the ball comes at you, you save it, but do not under any circumstances go out and attack that ball? I'm putting out saying, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but potentially that's kind of the tactics of playing. Let the defenders defend, you save the ball if it comes at you. Because if you come out and you miss that ball, maybe they see a weakness there. Maybe it's something they're working on. God only knows. Yeah. But it was, if you look back on it, it was, I think it was pre-planned, personally. If you look at the guy, again, I don't know who the player was, but if you look at when the goal, when Kaká puts in, I think it was more one of the replays, one of the sort of ones from behind. You actually see another guy running in at pace at they almost bump into each other. When he's hitting the ball. So is it that case where you say, do you know what, they've spotted that, they know that's a flaw? Plus I also think as well, and again, I'd have to go back and watch I watched the replay. The player that was static out the most, I think it was Samaras. I think there was actually Samaras at the back post.
Yep.
So you had the two defenders who were in their normal spots. I think the way they play it, I think Ambrose kind of goes towards the front post, so the ball comes, he heads it away. If it's more in the centre part, then Van Dijk's there and he sort of tries to head the ball away. But then there's that bit behind, just behind them, and if the ball's played in there and no one's defending it, if you've got a team attacking that area, maybe they've spotted it. I don't know. But in terms of Fraser Forster, I just think I was going to say it happens too often. It doesn't happen often enough. He doesn't come off his line enough times. So has he been told, and is that what he's been drilled to do or not to do? Who knows? I mean, that's Stevie Woods and the likes of the sort of guys that have to, I guess, would have to explain that and defend him in that sort of regard. But I just think it's a criticism that comes too often. And again, these guys are not stupid. They've made him the keeper that he was, and he's obviously had a lot of talent when he came, but they've pretty much made him the keeper he was, and they're not stupid. If that's a weakness in his game, it's something they're going to be working on. Now, if he's too scared he's not going to come out for balls and that thing, well, you have to train him up to the point where he's comfortable doing it and he's used to doing it.
Which at 6'7", it's a bit farcical to say you'd be scared of coming out up against anybody, given that you can use your arms and your hands and everything as well. But anyway, guys, the fact of the matter is we're not just out of the Champions League, we're out of Europe. We've got one more game to go away to Barcelona. How do we see that game going over there? Is it just are we looking forward to it at all, Martin?
I think we're going to hump them. I think it's 4 or 5-0.
Yeah.
Look.
Why would we not? Based on everything we've just said.
Exactly. Like, we're on a roll at the moment, so that's it. Look, I think we'll actually play well. Actually, to be honest, is Barca through automatically in first spot yet? No.
They need a point.
They need a point. Look, they're going to be up for it. Hopefully, we're up for it, and hopefully, it's actually a good game that we both, it's enjoyable. But I can't see us beating them over there. To be honest,
Tinlin, what about yourself? Are you looking forward to seeing that game?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe there'll be some pressure off a little bit. Maybe they'll try and express themselves a wee bit better. Just a bit of pride, I guess. Because we know they're talented, but I don't know. It's nearly the same team as what we had last year. They did so well. So we know there's an awful lot of talent in the team.
Yeah.
Maybe the pressure's off a wee bit and they'll be able to express themselves. The one thing that we had got is we're just so blunt up top. We sign attackers this year and none of them are good enough to play in the game that means so much is we end up putting the guy who's a winger, or Samaras, up front as a lone marksman. It just shows you how inadequate we are up front.
How much they trust the guys they've signed as well, Jim.
Exactly, I know. I think this whole campaign, I think, you'd hope the club will learn from it. I mean, you really, really hope that, I always thought at the start of the season that Lowell's idea was that he'd spend enough money just for us to get to the Champions League.
Yeah.
And he nearly blew it.
Yeah.
When we went into that Carragandi game, and if we never pulled the 3 goals off, we weren't going to have any Champions League. I thought he was blowing it because he wasn't wanting to spend the money. Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that it's a lesson learned for next season.
We've said it so many times before, though, Jim, and going back God knows how many seasons, that we never seem to hammer home the advantage, and we never seem to speculate to accumulate. We always just seem to do just enough and no more, and sometimes it's nearly not enough. But Jamesy, for the Barcelona game, are we looking forward to this Barca game, or is it going to be disappointing because we know we're out, there's nothing to play for?
No, I'm looking forward to it, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get a point out of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got nothing to lose, the players are a bit relaxed, and as usual, we turn in usually sterling performances when it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
But I would take that. I think we can get something from the game and restore a bit of pride, and above all else, learn from it. If we can learn from it, I'd said to you earlier in the week, Kevin, that I'd like to see Ambrose given a go in the middle of the park. The first game I saw him playing, he was in midfield. And I thought, here, this is a bit of a player. And he has shown signs of that, how he can run forward with the ball, go past men easily. Why not experiment again? Stick him in the middle of the park and put Mulgrew at central defence again.
Well, we know Charlie can play there. And Big Effie, he could turn into the next Yaya Toure in there.
Well,
who knows?
That's exactly who I compared him with the first time I saw him playing. This is a big Toure in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
He's got a great football brain.
That was Toure, not Tolle.
Aye.
Yeah.
But no, I think I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, Pat, what about yourself? The Barca game? I love watching Barca, and there's so many Celtic fans. Well, not just Celtic fans. There's so many fans love watching the football Barca play. So we always look forward to an encounter with them. But
I think, Kevin, if we can keep possession, don't give them possession.
Oh yeah, that's always
that'd be a joke.
And maybe score more goals in them as well. If we can do that, I think we'll be all right.
That would be all right.
But could I just say that, going back to the Milan game there, the stats show that we had 53% possession against 47.
Yeah.
Now, a few years ago, even although we may have beaten Milan, I bet you we never get anything like that amount of possession.
Yeah.
We're beginning to play the European game a bit better. And on that, did any of the lads, Kevin, watch the youth game?
Oh, now there's a good thing. Did any of you actually see? I know there was a few tweets going out, but the good thing this season is that for every Champions League group, the youth teams are playing this against the same teams. So Eurosport were actually showing the Celtic Milan game from Livingston's ground, and it was on at 10:45 in Western Australia, 10:45 at night. So I was going to the old Betty Bye-Bye, so I recorded it with the full intention that myself and my dad would watch it the following night. But we did sat down after the disappointment of the big game. We sat down and we watched the youth game. Did any of you see it, guys, first of all?
No. No.
Or heard the result?
I did see the goal. I saw the lob, so to speak. But,
yeah, it was. It was from the halfway line. It finished one each, guys. It finished one each.
Did he mean it?
Oh, it absolutely was, Pat. It absolutely was.
Well, it was deliberate because the keeper had come out to the edge of the box and punched the ball out.
Yeah.
And the guy, quick thinking, he said, this keeper's out on the edge of the box here. And
Conor McManus, I think it was the boy that scored it. But we
very, very unlucky. We should have won the game.
Yeah, it was. We were 1-0 up, and I think they scored with 10 minutes to go, maybe 5 minutes to go.
Oh, wow.
But we were by far the better team in that game.
The post.
Yeah.
Now, the point I was making about it was we played football the European way. We held the ball. We were, I would say, probably 60% possession the second half, Celtic, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the saddest thing, and this is what we were discussing as that game was going on, these poor boys that come through the ranks in the youth team, because of the kind of policy we've got just now, we always seem to go out and it's only the very, very top guys that will make it, because we buy in these average kind of players that, you're wanting to sign. If you are going to be signing foreign players coming in, they've got to be guys that are straight into the first team and they're really going to improve it. Some of the guys that we've signed recently are average players, average to slightly better than average players. But it's guys like this that are keeping some really, really promising young guys out of breaking into our team. And I think we were commenting as we were watching that game, there's some really decent boys in there. Some that are on the periphery of the first team squad anyway just now. But these are guys that, if they see us signing the likes of Bo Rigters of this world and Pookies of this world, if they get a chance to go to, say, a Kilmarnock and get guaranteed first team football, or a Dundee United or an Aberdeen, or maybe down in the Championship, we're going to lose out on these guys and potentially maybe have to sign them back in years to come. We're not giving these promising young players chances. But it was encouraging. It was very encouraging seeing that game and the way we did play football, because some of the passing was superb actually. Innit?
And we hit the bar too when 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's,
anyway.
there was a big call during the week though. I think it was during the week regarding Buradin Atajic. Same sort of thing. It's like surely he's worth I'm basically putting out there now. I've got a theory. I reckon Sunday. We'll talk about Sunday's game a bit later. That's a really critical game now because it gives you pretty much the only thing out with league.
Yeah.
I guess you could say just normal sort of routines to actually do something.
Yeah.
But again, we'll maybe talk about a bit later. But
Yeah, we'll
you
come
think
on
yourself,
to
get that over and done with, right? Assuming we win, right? You get through and you win that game. Is that now the time you say, do you know what? Let's start get Rogic in there. Get what's your name? The guy from Israel. Oh, Beaton.
Beaton.
Get Beaton in there.
Yeah,
The one people are talking about, this guy from Iceland. I think he's about bloody 15 years old or something. But so you wouldn't put this guy's line. But I mean, Atajic has been there for a while. Is it now a case of getting him in to do his part and at least give him a crack? He's been scoring lots of goals in the reserves and stuff whenever he's playing, and everyone seems to like the look of him. And he's got a bit of X factor about him, I guess. But is it maybe a time for someone like him? Is it time for Rogic to get a game? The fact that I just don't like Charlie Mulgrew and Kyle in the middle of the park. But if Rogic's a man, like, I'll be honest with you, when Rogic came on, and I've been talking to guys at work about this, and they're saying, why is he not getting a game? Mm-hmm. And it was proven exactly why I think he's not getting a game the other night is, it was 3-0 at the time when he came on, but the ball, I think he was going forward, the sort of play got broke up a little bit, and Milan are sort of busting through into our half. He didn't bust a gut to get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't sort of, like they call it in AFL terms, that whole sort of gut running. That do you do whatever you can to get back? He didn't have it. He was just strolling back as if it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it going, that's why you're not in the team. You've got 10-15 minutes, you're 3-0 down, but just go and just put that. You've got 15. You're not going to be tired in the 15 minutes. You're professional. You train, at length every single day.
Yeah.
To the point where you're that fit that you can get through 90 minutes. You've got 10-15 minutes of play here. Just go for it. And he didn't gut run. He didn't chase after the guy. He wasn't, on the guy's tail. He wasn't, on his shoulder, try to put him off and that. He just let him run past.
Yeah.
And that just bugged me. Now, I don't think Beaton's like that. I think he's got more of a sort of dig in his play. So hopefully that sort of comes to the fore when he gets his chance. But I just think maybe it's time to just give these guys to try and find your next Wanyama. Rather than playing flipping Charlie Mulgrew in there. And guys like Joe, no offence, but Joe Ledley is not interested. I think he's gone. I just do not think he's interested in playing for us.
Big call.
Yeah,
I think you're right, Pat.
The body language to me just says, nah, he's had enough. I think he just wants out. That's just my impression watching him in recent times. So when things are going well for him, when he's getting an end of the balls and stuff like that. But again, same thing. He's not gut running. He's not doing what he used to do, and why he became such an important player for us. But
is this maybe why he's got himself a new haircut, Pat? He's putting himself in the barber shop window.
That's terrible. That's rubbish. Bum tush. But you know what I mean. I just think
we've had a tweet from Joe, Joseph, and Giuseppe, who's the same person. If for those that are linguistically challenged, that is Joseph in 3 different languages. And but Joe says, greetings from Belfast. Hope you're all keeping well. Ambrose for midfield, he says. So he agrees with Jamesy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, saying that, we actually got a message on Skype. I've lost it now. It was Corpac Boy sent us a message. He said, I agree with your da. Well, he didn't agree with my da. It would be a bit difficult. I saw Ambrose's first game, and although it was against lower opposition, I agree that he had a blinder. Wasn't it against Wraith Rovers or something? Wasn't it something like that we played?
Yeah, it was just, I know it was kind of lower opposition, but it was just...
No, I'm sure it was Wraith
He
Rovers
was so
away from home.
comfortable on the ball, and he said, this guy's got a football brain.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain it was against Wraith Rovers at Start Park, but don't quote
And it's clear to see he has got a football brain. The way he is comfortable at the back. Sometimes, as Celtic fans, your heart's in your mouth when you see any of our defenders playing the ball about at the back or taking it out from the back and trying to dribble round players. But he does give you an air of confidence, as does Big Virgil, right enough. But I think it's a fair shout to give him a shot in midfield again, because I think Mulgrew has done well, and I know that they've been raving about Mulgrew for Scotland as well when he's been playing in that midfield role. He's had a few good games for Scotland in there. But I think Charlie is, well, for me, he's a defender, Charlie Mulgrew, and I think he'd be better served playing at the back and giving maybe Effie a chance in the middle of the park. It'd be worth seeing. Guys, something, as we were talking there was something that crossed my mind, and we know that, well, in fact, the commentators on ESPN the other night were saying, Celtic, we'd lost our spine of the team since last season. Now, I would agree with the two of the players that we've missed hugely, but the other one was obviously Kelvin Wilson. Now, I would say our defence now is better than it was when we had Big Kelvin there. Albeit, I think he did quite well for us. But the thing I was going to ask, and we have been joined by Liam Carrigan up in Osaka, Japan. So I'll come to you in a second, Liam. But very quickly, guys, I just want to go around you all and ask the question, out of Wanyama and Hooper, who are we missing more? Pat, I'll ask you first. And just very quickly, in a few words.
Ask me last, because I'm just messaging somewhere at the moment.
Oh, fuck. Pat, you're the producer of this show. What are you talking about? You're just messaging somebody.
I'm doing some admin work. Someone's tried to call in and I'm going to just try to message them, so just come back to me.
All right then. Martin, I'll come to you then. So, Hooper or Wanyama, who are we missing more and why?
Hooper, because we're just not putting the ball in the back of the net as much as we can, or as much as we should be. It's that simple. Sorry, can I just jump back a second to the previous comment about playing the young boys? One of the biggest issues now is that I think Celtic has is that, see if one of my kids were a good footballer and Celtic talked about coming in and signing them at 16, 17.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather them go to a Motherwell or a Dundee United where they're actually going first team football.
Have a chance.
How many of the young boys that we sign as this, the next young big deal type thing, to come through? And don't get me wrong, there'll be guys, Hooper come from Scunthorpe and did it and that, but you know what I mean? The general, the under 21s type players that would then come through the reserves and that. It's just they're just not getting the chance, and to me,
could I come in there, Martin?
Aye, go for it.
Martin, have you heard of or have you seen, in fact, Ryan Gold, the young Dundee United player?
No, mate, I've not, mate. So
he had assists. Dundee United scored 4 goals against Partick, and he assisted. I saw 2 of the goals anyway. This boy is, they're talking of him being a wonder kid. They're playing tonight, Dundee United, they're playing Kilmarnock, and there are scouts watching him from Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Everton, and Real Madrid. Now, the boy is 17 years of age. Can you imagine him being given a first team slot if he were at Celtic? I don't think Celtic, they would just say he's only a boy. And this boy is phenomenal. But no matter how phenomenal he is, Celtic would not give him a go.
Well, wasn't there a thing a couple of years ago, and I'm sort of remembering something from Eddie Sweeney and Celtic Underground that and I don't know, maybe it's the under 18s or the under 21s team, as they get to there, something like 90% of them are then released because they know they're not going to get a chance in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for bringing players through, and I'm all for the McGeadys and everything, and look, it's worth its weight and everything. But is it really, like, see if we're doing all this training and bringing people through and then going, actually, we're not actually making that much money out of it for the cost and hassle. And I'm saying the opposite. We should be doing it, and we should be giving boys a chance. And I totally agree with Pat. I think it's a time for, I think there's 2 things. One, I think we had to go out the other night and have a crack because we had to win the game. It was that simple. Now, the only thing you might do is go, look, try and win it, and with 20 minutes to go, if it's still sitting at nothing each, then have a red hot crack. But I think also with the league, let's go out there and have a crack. Let's blood some young boys. Let's get them a chance to come through. Let's look at the long term opportunities for us. So I totally agree. Young boys just don't get they're just not getting a chance.
I think for them to get a chance, they really do have to be exceptional. Now, by all accounts, this Ryan Gauld at Dundee United is exceptional. I don't think we've got some really, really good young guys coming through, but they're maybe not in the same league as this young fella. But yeah, we don't really give them too much a chance. I mean, I'll go back, Jim. Yeah, sorry.
No, see, I've seen the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great player and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, he's 17 years old. He's probably about flipping 8 stone, and he's having a good time at the moment. But it's just one of those things. I'm not sure he's not your natural goal scorer thing that we're looking for.
Yeah,
he's
more
your Chris Commons kind of role. He's more that sort of player, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I do see a bit, because I tend to spend Sundays watching the SPL official. I like to watch sort of all the games there and see what the other teams are doing. So I know it's a bit sad. No, I like it. I do enjoy it. I'm actually glad that they've got that sort of thing where you can see highlights of these games. I'm a football fan, Kev. I'm trying to support the league and all that sort of thing. And still not to this day wouldn't watch a Rangers game, but it's another story. But I mean, and he is a good. And they're playing well at the moment. They're a sort of an attacking, adventurous team. They've still got Mackay Stephen out in the left as well. They've got a guy Stuart Armstrong, I think his name is, who's still. He's been around a little bit, I reckon, but he's still, I think, a relatively young player. So
we know you've got a soft spot for Dundee United anyway, Pat. So let's remember this is a Celtic podcast.
No, but I'm just saying, there's guys like that. They've got. I mean, they've got even a guy they signed from Queen's Park, left back. Luke's not a bad player as well. So there's guys like that around. But it's one of these things. It's the whole thing about well, if they're going to sign anybody at that state, from Dundee United especially, they're going to sign Johnny Russell, and it never happened. So they obviously don't rate the quality of guys coming through. Now, is Gauld any better than Johnny Russell is? I'm not sure he is. I mean, he's a lot younger. Yeah. He's a lot younger. And, okay, he seems pretty smart, but he's still got to fill out the body. He's still got a bit stronger. If he gets a bit heavier, he's going to get slower. That sort of stuff's going to take a toll on him as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if guys like Celtic have said, well, if you're going to sell him, keep us posted, we'll be interested. But it's this whole thing about, do you get someone like that in? Do Celtic just ruin players like that? Do they get guys in that are just genuinely talented? Rogic was a great example of it, and then they just ruin them, and then all of a sudden they move off and become nobodies. Would it be a negative in his career signing for someone like us?
Look, it's almost, boys, the Liam Miller signing for Man U. And the
Chris McGonigal tweeted in that very point, actually, Martin. Chris says that happens the other way also. Look at Liam Miller when he went to Man U.
And now is he still in Perth now?
No,
Brisbane.
He left Perth. I don't know where he is now.
He's in Brisbane. So.
I come back to this. I think especially when a club from another part of Glasgow used to exist and used to be in the big boys league, and one of the concerns is that we can't drop games. I'll be honest here. A Celtic coach or Celtic manager, and you lose 2 or 3 games, suddenly the place is on fire and the other team winning and all. But this is the time to let's take people through.
I think honestly that we waste we do waste for youth team. We've got a great academy, and it shows against in results. How the youth have done in even this youth Champions League thing they've got, and last year as well. I'm fed up of seeing is us signing loads of mediocre players every year. We seem to sign about 6 or 7 mediocre players rather than signing. I mean, obviously you want to see new blood coming in, but I think we only need to see 1, 2 or 3 new players come in if they're good, talented players in the positions we really need. But through both windows, every year it seems to be our team gets chopped and changed, and you don't have any time to gel. Because one guy comes in, and another 2 guys that signed, and then somebody. I think we signed too many mediocre players. Yeah. We don't get the chance to bring people through from the youth who played with each other for years. I think that the fans as well would be a little bit more forgiving if you did go out and lose a game, seeing that you were trying to blood people, rather than just seeing us sign these players that are mediocre, come on, do nothing, disappear again.
Yeah. Martin, could I come in there? My thoughts on the numbers of players we have. I'm old enough to have been brought up, well, pre-Lisbon Lion days, really. But Jock Stein had a pool of about 14 players. Yeah. You knew every week what the team was. And his idea of giving the team a freshening up, to freshen up the team, he would replace one player.
Yeah.
What we do is, I'm going in there every week. You never know what the team is going to be. They never get a chance to gel. So Jock Stein built a team. They weren't all world-class players by any means. Tommy Gemmell was a good left back. He certainly wasn't world-class. Even less world-class was Jim Craig at right back. But Jock Stein built a team. Now, what we have getting back to the youth game that we watched the other night, you've got young Kennedy, the coach, building a team. That team disintegrates, Why not say we're going to bring this team forward as a team, keep them as a team as much as possible. We saw some of the moves the other night, fantastic understanding developing between these boys. What happens is they'll select one of them, stick him into the first team, they'll give him 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes of a game. If he doesn't work wonders in that 20 minutes, he's dropped for the next game, The pressure's on them all the time. And I think the idea should be to build a team. The individual units may not be absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely.
But if you have them playing as a unit, you can build a team.
I was also going to say something like it was when Petrov was talking when he had his testimonial that O'Neill came in and basically said, look, I've heard really good things about you, but you're not doing it. And he was playing out of position, but O'Neill said to him, I'm going to give you 10 games to prove yourself. And I'll be honest, if you don't prove yourself in the 10 games, then I think it was you could be off. But giving boys exactly that, giving boys 10 games to play, giving not the 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And look, as I said, it's different when we are in a head-to-head race and every game we need to win and we can't. And it's dead easy to sit and go, we'll accept a couple of losses. But maybe, we need to have that. Maybe what we need to do is I don't even know, the League Cup. That's it. Do you know what? The League Cup for us is an under-21s tournament almost for us, unless we come up against a dead team that's just been reincarnated type thing. No? And seriously, we just do right. And maybe even, and look, I really rate the Scottish Cup, but I do think it's a bit like the guy for your work's wedding. If you get invited there, it's all right. But if it's no, you're not that bothered. It'd be under-21s or under-23s sort of tournament. But give these boys some good, and put in some of the older players as well to allow it to be some experience there. But that's what I think they need to do. And because for me, as I said, if my boys have 10 times the ability of football that I've got, then they'll still be rotten. But if they did get a chance, I'd be saying I don't know if it's the right move to go to Celtic, because at 21 you're going to be showing the door.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, quickly, if you look back over the last 10 or 15 years, some boys have come through the youth ranks, but compared to how many we've invested in, it's actually not that many that have come in and regularly played first-team football. Not your 2 games here and your 2 games there, and it's the next Michael Owen, Wonder Boy, blah, blah, blah type thing,
Well, Martin, what you wonder is, why spend millions on our youth development programme and we're getting so little out of it?
That's exactly
why not let Dundee United, as an example, why not let Dundee United do the scouting and develop the young boys and then buy one of their players when necessary? With the money that you're saving from your youth development programme.
Yeah, it does seem bizarre that we'd spend so much on it if we're not going to, bear the fruits of it or give them a chance anyway. Well, listen, guys, Liam Carrigan has been waiting very patiently. I'm surprised you've still hung on, Liam. But Liam, to those now, he's on, well, I'll say you're semi-regular, Liam, because sometimes you're out on the town. And you're a very busy man, but Liam is our half the world away man up in Osaka, Japan.
No, can I check? Is this the real Liam, or is this a Chinese, robot type Liam.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Liam. In fact, Liam, I'll let you explain, mate. That you made a very controversial point the last show you were on, actually, about the deal that the SPFL was doing with Chinese television. So we had a little bit of a jibe saying this might be the last we'll ever hear from Liam again, because the Chinese government basically runs the TV over there, doesn't it, mate?
I would never say such a thing about my esteemed comrades in the Chinese Communist Party, would I?
Yep, they've got him. They've got him.
Yeah, well,
he's got a gun held to his head.
so Liam, it's good to hear from you again, mate. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Very quick. We won't even talk. Well, do you want to say anything about the Milan game? But we're talking just now about just the future. Celtic as a team. We're talking about obviously, some players, some average players that we seem to be buying because we're reluctant to spend the big bucks on bringing in adequate replacements for good guys that leave. But yet we still don't seem to be bringing through any youth guys. Have you got any strong views on it, Liam? I know you watch a lot of the Japanese football. Are there anything we can learn from the J-League?
Aye. I mean, the thing about the J-League is that all the teams have got really good youth setups.
Yeah.
I mean, not just your Premier League teams. It's like the Japanese League is basically J1 and J2. J1 is like your Premier League, and J2 is like your First Division equivalent.
Yeah.
And they've all got youth teams. They've all got community setups. Like, for example, I mean, I teach at junior high schools over here, right?
Yeah.
If a player at one of my junior high schools showed promise, he'd be invited to go and train with like the local junior high school, the district team.
Yeah.
And then whoever the biggest J-League team is in the area, if a boy performed at the district team, he would automatically be invited to go and play for the J-League youth team.
Okay.
And then that's him basically drafted into the J-League. It's that simple. And to me, in Scotland, it's just so complicated. You've got all this pro-youth and, you can't play for your school team because you're playing for your professional team this weekend and all this pish. It's like, just get them playing football. And if they're good enough, stick them into the youth teams,
Yeah. Yeah.
But you see, guys, that's happening everywhere, though, because my nephew, who was on the books of Aberdeen at one stage, is now going to live with his father over in Houston, and he's basically signed up with Houston Dynamo, so he's playing for their sort of junior teams. But you should hear the things that they have to go through in terms of nutrition and body fat and all that sort of stuff. It is exceptional. It's the sort of stuff you would just not. It's real professional stuff. But
yeah,
honestly, the stories you tell. What I'm saying is, how many Houston Dynamo players are playing in the Bundesliga? How many of these? Now, they put a lot of investment into these young players, a massive amount, but they're not progressing either. It's not just Celtic; it's not succeeding in this. And it's the same. I guess I presume the same in Australia. But they put a huge amount of investment on youth players, but in terms of Celtic, we end up buying sort of talent that becomes, valuable. I guess Wanyama, Hooper, Forster. In terms of the guys coming through, I mean, James Forrest is probably the last kind of big one to come through. But really, I mean, is he really set the header on fire? I'm not really sure. I mean, you can see all the names like Liam Miller in the past, but Aidan McGeady came through. Right, they sold him for a truckload to Spartak Moscow, who's now apparently they've basically chucked him on the transfer list. By the way, I saw online earlier on. And here's some latest news for you. Milan have actually sacked their coach. Sacked their coach. So he's such a
That's
good
because they
coach.
didn't beat us convincingly enough.
It wasn't 5. It was only 3 going on 5. So anyway, he's gone. But I mean, I'm just saying that there's lots of these sort of guys and lots of teams doing it. But how many are actually succeeding in what they do? Does Celtic make this investment in the hope that every 5 years you get an Aidan McGeady that you can sell on? Because at the moment, who else? There was talk of interest in James Forrest. Really, do you think there's the same level of interest in Forrest as there was in McGeady? I don't think there is.
Yeah.
My gut feeling is that there isn't. So what they're basically hoping is that when they pinch these guys from Iceland, $100,000 for this 6'3", again he's about 18 years old or something, and Beaton and Rogic, that they find a gem somewhere in one of these, and it's worth investing. You know, not a little. It's a lot of money in real men's terms. You know, for us it's a lot of money, but for Celtic it's, you know, we'll spend 300 grand on this guy, and he might be worth, you know, $1.5 million in 2 years' time, and they're just hoping for that sort of thing happening, and they're looking for more Wanyamas. But again, that's going to get harder and harder and harder to do. So again, it's one of those things that they're buying guys in. At what stage do you say, you know what, let's just bite the bullet and buy somebody good?
Yeah.
You know, the striker role obviously was the big one that was mentioned a while back. At some stage, is it worth the risk of buying in Baldy and buying in Pookie at 23 years old when you know you can spend a lot more money on a 26-year-old who is a fairly, you know, it's not a guarantee, but there's a better chance of him scoring goals for you, because it is the hardest position, the hardest thing to do in a football part is score goals. Yeah. Defending, goalkeeping, midfield, you know, in my opinion, they're all things that you can sort of train into people. There is and teach people in certain things. But you look at Hooper, and if you ever watched any of his interviews, no offence to the guy, but he's thick as two short planks. He's dumb, but he can put the ball in the net.
He could stick the ball in the net. Yeah, and that was the thing. I guess that's why I was asking that question, and I don't think I went round everybody on it. The whole, you know, who are we missing, or have we missed most? Because a lot would argue it's Wanyama, but for that very reason you're talking about, Pat, it's goals that win you games. For all we do miss Wanyama's strength in the middle of the park, Hooper's he would guarantee you goals. Okay, he went through a few little lean patches, but the guy was a natural goal scorer. And the thing that frustrated me more than anything was, we got, how much for Gary Hooper did we eventually get for him? 8 million? Was it round? Well, it was round about that, but I do. When Finn Bogason was the guy from Heerenveen that a lot of Celtic fans were saying that's the guy we need. He's a proven goal scorer, similar type of penalty box type striker. We could have just, for the money we got for Hooper, you basically spend that money on this guy, you bring him in, and you don't lose the goals you're scoring. Basically, near enough guaranteed, because the guy had a proven record. But we took chances. We didn't spend 5 million. We spent 2 million on a guy that, okay, he had a decent goal scoring record at Helsinki, but he was struggling to get a game with Schalke. And he scored a couple of goals for Schalke, but this is not a guy that's a natural and proven goal scorer. So for me, that was hugely disappointing, and it showed lack of ambition. That there's certain positions in a team that you've got to go and you've got to spend big if you want class, or you bring through class. One of the two, it's got to be that way. You can't settle for second best in your goal scoring department, or you're going to be up against it all the time. And for me, that's been proven with this whole year's Champions League campaign. We could have beaten Milan in Milan if we had a Gary Hooper playing in the very first game in the group. I'll maintain that. I'll ask Jim and Liam and James as well, I suppose, because I didn't get around to asking you three guys.
No, I think you did right, man. If you had one of him in your team, if you'd won him in your team, he used to create a lot. He was we know that he was a fantastic creative midfielder, but who's he creating them for? There's nobody up front that will take them. Yep. Whereas you get Hooper up front, and now the midfield that we've got is still supplying ammunition. We just don't have anybody that can stick it in the net. Yep. So, Wanyama was always a class player, but we don't have it's like you said, if we go Finn Bogason, we would have had change from Hooper, and his wages were going to be the same. It was nothing. There was nothing. There was nothing we're going to lose on it. But I just think, like I said, Lowell tried to do it in the cheap. I hope it's That's me.
Liam, I'll come to you as well. Who are we missing more, Wanyama or Hooper?
Well, I think, putting it very simply, if we'd have had Hooper or another equivalent striker like Finn Bogason in the team, we would have got at least a point in Milan, and we would quite possibly have taken something for Amsterdam as well. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between being in or out of the Champions League now, as it stands.
Yeah. Jamesy, who are we missing more, Hooper or Wanyama?
Hooper, I think we're missing Wanyama badly also in the middle of the park, but at the end of the day, the ammunition is being supplied in games, and we've just got we're playing without a striker. I said that the other night. Yeah. To me, watching Samaras, I'm not a Samaras fan, but if he's in the team at all, it's got to be wide left.
Yeah.
To create anything. To put him up front on his own there, waste of time.
Yeah.
He's not a natural striker. And that we're really missing that, a natural striker.
It's funny because on the ESPN commentary we were watching here in Australia the other night, we've got a guy, Mark Donaldson, who I've mentioned before. He's a Scottish fella, a Hearts fan. But he's always very fair, or in my opinion, he's always very fair when Celtic are playing and he's commentating on the games. Shaka Hislop was his co-commentator. But even both of those guys that were watching the game, with the knowledge they had and how often they get to see Celtic, which is obviously nowhere near as much as we watch them, even these two guys are saying, it's evident to them that Sammy's best position is on the left-hand side of midfield. Now, if these guys can see it, and Jim Kinlan, the point you made earlier on about, it says a lot for these guys, these supposed strikers that we've signed, if we're playing a player that we know is far better out in wide left, but he's actually getting a shot up front rather than our actual notable strikers. Let's not forget Stokes is a striker as well that was sitting on the bench. So it was a bit of a baffling decision, but it says a lot for the weakness of our strike force right now.
What about the manager? You get down to the manager's judgment again.
Now, there is a very interesting point. Mr. Neil Lennon, because shortly before the show, one of our panel members, who's on here tonight, said, "That's it, enough is enough. It's time to get rid of Neil Lennon." Now, esteemed listeners out there, if anybody's listening live, can anybody guess who would have said such a thing? I shall put it out there and see if we get any tweets before we come on to it. But, or maybe I should just name and shame right now and ask you to justify yourself, Mr. Martin Kelly.
Oh, Kevin, thank you very much. It was being sarcastic, and you know it. You are just the gym trainer of this podcast.
I'm not that big.
Jabba.
No,
so was that tongue in cheek, Martin? Was it?
You know what? Fine. Well,
you did take me aback. You did take me aback.
Nah, look, my comments are that I think every time you miss he loses a game or so, it is that right, sack him, because again, it's there's not the it's all very one-sided at the moment because we don't have another Glasgow team apart from obviously the mighty Partick Thistle to compete against. I rate Lennon. I think he's doing the best of what he's got. I also think Lawwell, and this is maybe a bit controversial. I think Lawwell's doing a good job because he's trying to keep the books balanced. And all you need to do is look at another previous Glasgow team, and I'll spend a tenner for every five our Celtics spend to go. Look, he needs to keep the thing in our TV money for who we're playing against. His TV money is absolutely minuscule, or who we're competing against in European football is minuscule. Day in, day out, TV money, not the money we get from the Champions League. So I actually think they're both doing a good job, because to try and balance the books, it's also to the actual, when you look at the numbers wise and you say, all right, we're going to spend $500,000 on a player, or give a player 30 or 40 grand a week, there's an awful lot of season tickets have to be sold and an awful lot of pie and bovrils to be sold to actually cover that wages. So no, I am fully behind Neil Lennon, and we'll stand by that till I call for his sacking in about an hour.
Another week's time.
No, but mate, I'm thinking about an hour and a half or something.
Well, guys, I on that subject of Neil Lennon, I just have to raise it was actually a chat on Facebook that one of our other panel members here was fairly much in the thick of Mr. Jim Kinlan. And Jim, can you stop rustling that flipping microphone? Seriously, I'm going to get that. See, when I'm in the Gold Coast, bring that microphone with you, because I'm going to get it and shove it up Mount Buggery, I'll tell you.
That's why it's making that noise, Pat. That's where he is shoving it just now.
It's doing my nutting, man. I've sent you a message to say, stop moving your fucking microphone. It's rustling and it's actually, maybe it's a good thing. It's actually blocking people out. You can't hear what they're saying. So, but anyway, Jim was involved with a guy called, you ready for this? James Forrest.
Oh, yes.
And it went on about, in fact, I'll just read, this is the first thing, I actually went and copied and pasted this. So this was not long after the game finished. James Forrest, whoever you are, hopefully you've calmed down a wee bit, buddy.
James Forrest, is this not James Forrest, the very famous and articulate blogger that used to do huge articles in Celtic Quick News?
No idea.
Yes.
Right. So anyway,
familiar
James
with
Forrest,
his work?
disgraceful. The proudest home record in the competition, righteously FUC. I was going to say it out loud there, but it's explicit. Righteously fucked. And this has been coming. So Lennon is now being judged on what? Winning the SPL. When are people going to get on it with this guy? My last post, it's for the manager. Get your coat, son. This is your final season in charge. And it went on and on and on and on. And I
Wait a minute, who was making those points? James Forrest or Jim
That was
Kinley?
James Forrest. So
right.
Pat, could I come in here though? I think what we would have to know, what say did Neil Lennon have in the signing of Baldy, Pucky, Bo Richter?
Pucky?
Or
Pucky,
Pookie?
Jesus.
Whatever you call it. Right. In other words, did he have? If he had no say, I would say we've got to exonerate him completely. If it was Neil Lennon said, yes, I want Bo Richter, I want Pookie.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know that. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
No, again, I'm not saying this. I'm just telling you what someone else was saying. So I'll just read out some of Jim Kinlan's thoughts.
Right, is Jim not going to give them... right, well, you
has an
read
opinion.
what Jim said, and then Jim can defend himself.
No, I'm happy for Pat to read them out, because I can't
Alright, good.
what I said.
Like I said, he was probably pissed anyway. Anyway,
You're messing
everyone has an
about your
opinion,
microphone
and
anyway,
everyone...
James.
Let's shush. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone rightly can express their own opinion. You can criticise the manager for being tactically naive or his inability to get the ultimate out of his players, but I think to criticise his courage is taking it too far.
Fair enough.
And this went on and on and on, and I copied and pasted a bit of it, and I got a bit bored of it. So, but Jim was involved in that.
How
so
can you get bored of Jim Kinlan?
So he was on fighting the manager's corner there. So
Yeah.
So yes, that was whoever James Forrest. I didn't know he was a blogger, but anyway, Jim was right in there. Go on yourself, buddy.
Good on you. Well, I was going to ask you, and I'll maybe come at yourself, Liam, first of all, on this, because Martin made the point. We talked about Neil Lennon there, but Martin also made the point and raised the point about Peter Lawwell. Now, Peter Lawwell, when you read much of the stuff on the internet, or certainly the stuff I read on the internet, the majority of Celtic fans are dead against Peter Lawwell and what he's doing and, you know, what he stands for. And I know there's been a lot of stuff recently about some of the staff on the books at Celtic. They're not getting paid minimum wage and all this kind of stuff as well. In terms of yay or nay for both Neil Lennon and Peter Lawwell, Liam, I'll ask you, are you a supporter of Lenny and Lawwell, or one or the other, or none of them?
Right. What I would say is that I'm lucky that through previous work and contacts and stuff, I've managed to spend quite a bit of time with Neil Lennon. I've had a drink with him a couple of times, and the guy's integrity, commitment, and courage is unquestionable.
Mm-hmm.
So, if things are going wrong, I would suggest it's because he's not getting the backing for the board. I don't think it's anything he's doing wrong.
Yeah.
So Neil Lennon behind him, 110% unquestionable.
Yeah.
Lawwell, on the other hand, is, and pardon my language here, he's a money-grabbing, cowardly bastard, for want of a better phrase.
Uh-huh.
He cares purely about the bottom line, and the fact that he's willing to sell out to the Chinese kind of underlines that. But also,
maybe that's the real.
The fact he didn't have the courage to come out and say at the AGM that the Huns are a new club, for example. He made some half-hearted joke about it, which he later retracted. You know, if I was the chairman of Celtic, I'd say, no, they didn't pay their debts, they died, end of story.
Yeah.
But he's not got the courage to do that, because he's always thinking about the commercial aspect.
Yeah.
Now, being the leader of a football club is about more than just commercialism. It is about being the leader of a community. And I thought it was totally spineless, the way he shirked that question. And also, the way they're behaving with the living wage is nothing short of disgraceful as well. No, the guy's a coward as far as I'm concerned.
Mm. Okay.
Could I ask Liam, does he know, how does Neil Lennon get along with Peter Lawwell? Is it a healthy relationship, or is there a bit of friction?
My dealings with Neil Lennon are sort of before he became the Celtic manager.
Yeah.
When he was still a player and then a coach. So I don't really know much about the day-to-day workings because remember, I've not been in Scotland for 7 years now. So I used to work in the media, but I'm kind of out the loop now. So I don't really know how it's going on now. Yeah. But based on what I know of Lennon's character and what I know of Law's character, I imagine Neil's no daft to do what he's told, but I think there's probably not a great level of trust there.
Yeah. I mean, Pat, we speak about it. This comes up quite a bit, especially about Neil Lennon. I don't think we've ever broached the subject of either the PLC board or Peter Law. Personally, it's not something we usually talk about on this particular podcast, but and I don't even know your own personal views on Peter Law, but in terms of the Lenny and the Law thing, are you a supporter of one of them, two of them, none of them?
I like what both of them are doing in their jobs, personally.
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with the fact, that when Lennon took the job on, he knew what the limitations that were going to be. It was a whole process and plan that he bought into and he promotes. He has had a few digs subtly in the media about certain players, not getting who he wants and stuff like that. But I think this, from what I remember, and Jim might correct me here, but I think the whole context of that chat he was having was a guy who was saying he was spineless for not standing up to Peter Law. Well, Peter Law in a way is his boss, so I mean, how many people are going to stand up and say, what you're doing is just really crap? It's just the club are living within their means. I've got an opinion, and I think what the club are doing is they are trying to qualify for Champions League and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they are banking is a little bit of money each year for when Sevco get back into the league, because if and when they get back into the league, they're going to start throwing money at players and stuff like that. I know it's money they don't have, but they're still going to throw money they can't afford, but they're still going to do it. And the bottom line is we have to be prepared for it. So they also look at a return on certain players, and that's why I reckon that's why they didn't go for Finnbogason. I think that was they were interested in him. They really liked what he was offering and what he could do, but they were going to have to buy him for £6-7 million, and I don't think they saw they were going to get a return on that. As in, they bought a 6-7.
I think that's crazy though, because a guy like that's already worth that's still young. You come in, you give him the platform of the Champions League. If he does the exact same as he keeps his scoring record going, he does similar job to Hooper, you are going to get a return on a player like that. It doesn't make sense to me.
But you've got other things like his wage demands was going to break whatever structure they had, and that's when you got to think as well about the actual the way the other teams would react to the other players would react to that. So you've got guys at the moment, and there's talk, like Joe Ledley's potentially one of the highest paid players there. Now he's out of contract and quite clearly asking for more money. Yeah. And if they're turning around going, well, no, we're going to stick within our wage structure, then he's within his rights to go down to England. But the club shouldn't be breaking that process. I mean, it's what it's a plan, and it's a whole process they've gone through to say, well, we can't just keep buying players for silly money and not achieving anything. They can't spend $6 million on Chris Sutton every year, every 2 years. They just can't. Yeah. We can't sustain that. So what we're going to do is we're going to invest in young guys. We're going to try and bring them. We're going to try and do what we did with Gary Hooper, with Wanyama. And everyone acknowledges they're going to be a hit and miss. I mean, I think that's one of the messages I sent you through earlier on was, one of those misses is about to come back to the club with Bangura. So he's apparently coming back to the club in a year now that his loan stuff's up. So there's going to be those misses as well as hits. But I think the problem being is that, and I've said that earlier on, is that the centre forward, or the goal scoring role, not so much centre forward, but the goal scoring role is about the hardest thing you can do on a football park. Hooper just had it. He was a natural at it. He had the composure, he had the strength. He was just an absolute natural at it. And those sort of guys they're not that common. And I was surprised at the end that I put Pucky. No, what do we call him before? Pucky. Let's call him Pucky then. So Pucky is
but he calls Audis Audies as well.
That's fair.
And it's not audio in James's world. It's audio.
So there's guys like, but he is. I don't know if he was actually seen as a direct replacement, and Lennon certainly came out and said that. I think when he was signed, like, don't expect this guy to be knocking in 30 goals. But that sort of thing, the thing that disappoints me with that sort of level is it's a lot of money to spend on projects. This whole Baldy thing is he's a project player.
Yeah,
Christ,
absolutely.
It's going to take him another year to get to the end of that, the initial part of that inverted commas project. And by that stage, he's on probably a 3-year contract. You're only going to have it for a year, and then he's going to leave again. So.
But see, the thing with that, Pat, is see in a position like a striker, you're actually a goal scorer or you're not. You can't turn a guy that's, he can score the odd 1 or 2 goals and then all of a sudden he can bang them in for fun. It's a natural thing. See that predator instinct? You've either got it or you're not as a striker. So see if you've not even got that ability, and all the ones that make it, all the real world class players that make it and made it as strikers, they were banging it in from a very young age, and they were doing it consistently. It's very rarely you'll hear of somebody that was they showed a bit of promise. They went through a couple of lean seasons, scoring 5 or 6 goals, and then all of a sudden they were scoring 20 and 30 goals a season. It's a talent, and unless you've got that natural talent, natural ability. Gary Hooper had it, and he showed it at the different levels he played, and he just, this guy had the knack of knowing where to be. And I think we should start a campaign to bring back Gary Hooper, because by all accounts he's missing the place. He's been up several times since he actually went to Norwich. And I think the guy's missing the place, and I think we should be doing a campaign to bring the guy back. For the lack of, don't get me wrong, if we could find somebody else that could do the same job, please step forward. But I don't know who's out there just now.
Kev, he's missing.
I'll have a crack at it.
Kev, he's missing the place until he looks at his bank balance. Then he won't. That's what he went down there for.
This whole thing, I think that's my point, though, Pat, because he has been back. I think he's been quoted as saying he's missing the place. He's got a lot of friends up here and all the rest of it. So, I mean, money, of course, plays a huge part in footballers' lives. But let's face it: if you're a top class player at Celtic, you're earning a decent crust. You're not earning what they can earn down in the EPL, but my God, you're earning a decent crust. And sometimes the money, it's not just all about money for certain players. Henrik showed that himself. Henrik could have been away many years before he did actually leave us, if he so wanted to. But there was more to. He showed that he had more commitment to Celtic, and it wasn't all just about chasing the money for Henrik. He knew he was onto something good there, and he had a lot of honour, and he wanted to show a bit of commitment to the club.
I don't think that's as mental as it sounds, Kev. In 6 months' time, Norwich should be in the Championship. Nobody's going to buy Hooper now. He's been injured or just substitutes all season. If he goes down to the Championship, nobody's going to buy him and bring him back up to the Premiership again. I don't think that's too mental out there. There's something that could happen next summer.
Right, will we start tweeting this campaign, Jim, right after this?
I think that sounds all right.
No, see,
I do. I mean, remember he left the Championship to come here to put himself in the window.
Yeah.
He's going to end up where he started a few years ago, the way Norwich are going now, and he's not going to get into the Premiership from where Norwich will end up if they get relegated.
Yeah.
I've got this whole theory about never going back though.
I agree.
It never works. Never works again. That's
based on what? Charlie Nicholas.
Yeah.
Frank McAvenny.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it's it was great, and I think it's just one of those things that he might be missing it and stuff like that. But by the time a year or two goes by, most of his mates aren't going to be there anymore. Most of the guys he's friendly with, Ledley's probably going to be going, as I guess. Guys potentially like Matthews might be going. So people like that. He's Chris Commons. I mean, he's I don't know what age he is now, but how long is he going to be around there as well? So
yeah,
I'd love to see him back. Would absolutely love it. But there's this thing about me. I don't know. If you're going to get him back, you get him back soon. You get him back right now. As in, I'm missing the place. Get him on loan for the rest of the season. But
that's what my campaign's going to be about. Pat, get him back right now.
I don't see, but there's no Celtic have nothing to play for. They've got the Scottish Cup. There's nothing. They've got nothing to play for the year. So I just can't see them. If they were still in the Champions League fair enough, he might have been a chance, you know, if they were going to come up against Milan in the next stage, then maybe. But I just can't see it happening. It's not even close to it. He's like your old favourite first girlfriend, Kev. It's over, Kev. It's over.
First girlfriend, Garetta Hooper. Who's making those noises in the back?
Who is making those noises? It's really annoying.
It's not me.
I don't know.
No Jim
Is that
Kinlan
Jim?
again,
Have
is
you
it?
get fit, Jim?
No, I'm not doing
You've
nothing.
been told off about your microphone now.
You know what it
You
is?
know, I'm not
Right,
touching
he's
any
covered.
microphone. I'm not making any noises.
Is it a fancy train or something in Japan?
No. It's a Chinese
nothing-
government
nothing to do-
taking over Liam. Liam's now going to start playing the party. Literally the party line.
No, I'll tell you what it is. It's the bloody Chinese tapping in here. That's it. We're off.
That's exactly what it is.
That's it. I'm
Liam's about to get accosted.
Yeah.
Any chance I can get a chow mein with fried rice then?
Jesus.
Right, guys, listen, the time's marching on as usual, and I know Pat's got an early rise in the morning, and Martin, you said you wanted this to be a quick show tonight, so I'm going to move on. And it's something, again, that sparked a bit of controversy after or during the Milan game. And it involves our good friends in the Green Brigade again, and a banner display that they had. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm sure most people either listening live or listening back later on, they'll have read about it or they were there. But there was a couple of banners that were shown. There was a banner of Bobby Sands and there was a banner of William Wallace, and it's come in for some attention, let's say, by not just Celtic, the club, but also UEFA as well. Now, there's always kind of something controversial comes up with the good old Green Brigade, but I want to just go around the panel, I suppose, and get our thoughts on it. I'll maybe come to yourself first, Jim Kinlan. Did you know about it? Do you know much about it? Have you read about it, Jim? What are your thoughts on it?
It's been everywhere for the last few days, hasn't it? And it's one that's, I think it's hard. It's not just it's not cut and dry. You know the point. See, for me, the thing that I get with this most, and this might seem a bit mental, is I'm not too happy with Peter Lawwell. Because I feel as though the Green Brigade, I think, for the last year or two have wanted maybe somebody to stand up for them a wee bit, and the vilification of some of the fans and the act and everything else like that. And there's mostly been, it was like a kid, I think, where you're getting bullied at school and you go to your dad and you say, "Dad, can you help me?" And he's just went, "No, bugger off, go and look after it yourself."
Yeah.
And they come out and have a tantrum. And I feel like that's just a wee bit because there's no any real leadership, or there's very lack of leadership from the club, except to smack them down all the time. I don't think it's the greatest arena to do that in front of the world watching.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the greatest image that we want to see of our club. In saying that, the things that the Green Brigade did last year for the Barcelona games and stuff like that, it would just be great to see Lowell come out the other side and thank the Green Brigade sometimes, be on their side, not just antagonise them all the time. I just feel there's too much distance. And I know it's not exactly the point you were asking me, but it's a hard one to come down with. I know exactly why people don't like it, at the same time I understand why people will back them.
Yeah.
Could I come in, Kevin? There's nobody loves Bobby Sands and what he stood for more than I do, I would say. But I think the last thing in my mind, going to a Celtic match like the one against Milan, is to say, if I were the person producing a banner, I think I'm going to watch Celtic playing Milan, Champions League game. Oh yes, I know what I'll do. I'll produce a big banner about Bobby Sands.
Yeah.
To me, we should try and keep them a bit more separate. Political issues and sporting issues.
Yeah.
It's a bit. I think there is those at the top and the Green Brigade. What will they come up with next? It's as though they're trying to
Push the boundaries.
provoke some reaction from Celtic. Not only reaction from UEFA, but particularly they're trying to provoke a reaction from Peter Lawwell all the time. I mean, the last thing in my mind going into that game or watching that game would be to be thinking about Bobby Sands.
You were probably singing about him on the bus going in if you were there.
No, I wouldn't. No, but there's singing. There's plenty. It's been commented online today. There are so many Celtic songs we can sing without giving the other side any ammunition whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, Liam, did you get the chance to read about it at all, about the banners and the controversy again that it's raised?
Aye, I did actually, and I've actually had a couple of debates on Facebook and Twitter with people about it. And the thing that I get now, you said there that we want to try and keep the politics and the football separate, right? But one of my pals made a valid point here. He says that apparently there's at least 3 SPFL clubs that have political parties on their advertising hoardings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of our domestic competitions, was sponsored by the Scottish Government.
Mm-hmm.
Politics is in football already. And it just seems like a case of double standards. It's all right when the Scottish Government are willing to plough tens of millions of pounds into the game to have their party plastered all over all the advertising. However, when a group of fans want to make what I think is a valid political point, they're vilified for it. It's and the other thing is, this is not something that only happens at Celtic. You take the example at Barcelona, right? They're forever waving Catalan flags and shouting about Catalan independence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a significant faction of the Real Madrid fans that frequently sing songs in support of the Spanish monarchy and Franco. Whether you agree with it or not, it's a political point, right?
Yeah.
We've got the bloody tribute act across the city singing God Save the Queen. If that's not a political song, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Would it have been such a controversial display if Bobby Sands wasn't on it? They had William Wallace on that banner as well. Would anything have been said at all if it was just a William Wallace banner?
No, nothing.
Right. There's the thing, right? Because to me, this highlights an underlying problem. And I don't know if you guys read Phil McGillivan, but I think he kind of highlights it quite a lot in his blogs.
Yeah.
That there's an undercurrent in Scotland of anti-Irish sentiment.
Yeah,
See, if you mention anything that is pro-Irish or pro-Republican, people jump on you as if it's the worst thing in the world. It's all right to say that you're a communist. It's all right to say that you're a fascist. It's not all right to say that you're a Republican.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. I think if they'd have used any figure other than Bobby Sands for that protest, if they'd have used, for example, I don't know, Che Guevara or Fidel Castro or something,
nothing.
Say anything.
The only thing, Kevin, it's UEFA. It's not the SSV. It's the UEFA. It's UEFA that are raising the issue.
Yeah, but my guess to that is that anything, UEFA must have a hit list for every single club in there that might cause controversy, and they'll have a list of things as to, if this club does such and such, then they're provoking. Now, for us, I'm certain that anything to do with the IRA, for example, is on the UEFA list of things that Celtic shouldn't be getting involved in. That's my own thoughts on that kind of thing.
Well, what they're actually saying, it's all right for Barcelona to have Catalan flags. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's not. I mean, it is controversial. I mean, Pat, you had kind of brought it up. You'd sent us out some of the articles that have went around as a little bit of research, I guess, before the podcast tonight. Do you have strong views on it either way? Are UEFA being heavy-handed here? Were the Green Brigade out of order?
I think in terms of what UEFA will do, I think the message, in my opinion, was subtle enough that they probably can't do anything. They might, do a slap in the wrist, but there was nothing. It wasn't as blunt as your "fuck UEFA" sort of thing. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it was subtle enough, and there was a sort of hidden message to it. If that was Celtic playing Motherwell on a Saturday afternoon, probably not many people would be talking about it. It had been raised, it had been dusted away the next day, and that was it. It had been finished. The fact that it was on a UEFA Champions League against Barcelona, against AC Milan, sorry, and a game we had to win, with half the world watching, is probably where it. Yeah, it's probably where it's made it sort of press and stuff like that, and how it's become such a high profile. But and I did like, I'll be honest with you, when I, cause I didn't see it at the start of the game, and like I don't know if you saw it in the coverage you had, but there was nothing even to insinuate it was something like that happened.
Oh,
Obviously,
not
with the
at all.
stuff, I saw a picture on Facebook that was posted later on. I was like, oh Jesus! Now, I'll be honest with you, my first reaction was, what a bunch of dickheads. Seriously, that was, and the comment I read, which was the best one, was a massive own goal by the Green Brigade. Now, see when you take a bit of a step back, right? And this is, I was thinking about stuff that I'm doing, right? So we're doing stuff for, let's take another step back, right? So I looked at that as the older man now. You know, I'm in my 40s and stuff like that, and I look at it and I go, that's just ridiculous. So seriously, what are they doing? What are they thinking? You read the message that's kind of gone behind it, and I'll be honest with you, like I've said this many times, politics just bores the tits off me. It's just not my thing. Never been interested in it, you know, all that sort of stuff. So when I read it, I looked at it and I saw the picture. I thought that's just crap. You know what they're doing. But then I'm doing all this stuff. We're doing a bit of music and stuff. I'm doing some of the music for one of the events in the Gold Coast. So here's me in my head saying, bunch of dickheads, just ridiculous, totally stupid. Now I'm doing this bit of music for the stuff in the Gold Coast. What's the first thing I do? I go straight to my Rebel music collection.
Bobby Sands MP, the first track, Pat.
I go to my Rebel music collection. So what sort of hypocrite am I saying these guys are a bunch of dickheads, where I turn around the next stage and start playing all these, you know, these Rebel songs. So, and it got me thinking, you know, like when we went to the games back in the old days, Kev, you know, you stand in jungle and stuff.
Yeah.
We could kind of express in a way that Irishness that we have right now. I'm probably third generation Scot, so my mother and father weren't Irish, but my family originate mainly from the Ballymena area, so from Glenravel. If anyone's living in Glenravel, or
big shout out to Glenravel.
So big shout out to all those guys in that area. So it's area sort of nearby in Ballymena. So I'd love to go and visit there one day, and I never have actually done it. So, but you know, I started sort of thinking, like when we went to the games, you could express that kind of Irishness that you have. You could sing those songs and do those things, and bit by bit that's been taken away. But the feelings that we had back then, people still have them. People still want to express that Irishness, but they're not being allowed to do it, if you know what I mean. So it's eventually it kind of comes ahead, like the stuff that they're being told they can't do anymore. Jesus, man, like can you imagine some of the stuff that we sang when we were standing in the jungle?
Yeah,
so it's stuff that now you get put in prison for. But still, people say that sort of sense of identity, of Irish identity, that doesn't disappear. Not in one generation, not in a couple of years. It doesn't work that way. And I guess they need in a way they need a kind of forum to do it. And maybe we as Celtic fans we might criticise the Green Brigade and say what you're doing is absolutely ridiculous, right? Well, I'll tell you what. See every supporters bus that goes into the game and every car that you're travelling into the game. Don't play any Rebel songs.
Yeah.
Right, don't play any Rebel songs. So if you're going to criticise them, you're part of the problem as well. Don't you do that? Don't you try and sell that on and emphasise that Irishness either, because they're just expressing it in a different way.
I think it's as my dad mentioned earlier on there.
Boys?
Yeah, on you go, man.
Look, I think there's sort of a couple of things. One, I actually think they made a really good point, which is when does it become a folk song? And when is it a Rebel song? So how come Flower of Scotland is all right about sending the English back again, but you know,
still a Rebel song.
Aye, right. So, but that's what I'm saying. So how come one's allowed to be sung, one's not?
I think
a couple of things I think about Rebel, about the songs, and this is actually about a lot of the songs sung. I actually believe about being positive Celtic songs rather than negative. Especially negative other team songs or negative, you know, opposition player songs. I think you be positive about your own club and everything.
Yeah.
My own thing about I think it's very hard for UEFA, because where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? So, you know, do you get Serb and Croat and all the issues you've out there, and they you know, fly flags, and so I think UEFA are trying to do let's try and stop all political stuff. And I thought, guys, you know what? Maybe there is a forum for it. Maybe we should. And where you go, where you set the line is tough. And I think part of the biggest issue is something like Roll of Honour, where it is, and that's exactly why the Green Brigade put Bobby Sands on it and everything. To me, doing it to get the club fine. Now, a couple of things it was mentioned earlier about Peter Lawwell not supporting the fans. I believe the club has stuck some money up and is supporting the boys that are arrested in Amsterdam and pushing it. I think the Green Brigade at times have went far too far, and it has actually hurt them with stuff. I think there's stuff where, over the time they've put banners up that you're going, boys, do you really want to do it? And I think they've also got some really good kudos. I think stuff like the one against against Barcelona last year.
Yeah, the 125th display.
Yeah, that was absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
You've seen that the club has went, geez, that looked good. We can try and do it. And I don't even think they did it as well.
No.
I feel, and it sounds, I feel slightly sorry for Celtics. I think they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They want to get the Green Brigade to help it. But to me, it seems to be they always have to push it just a little bit too far. They need to do that, right, we'll say it, but we'll do this, we'll do that. I think maybe they could have put somebody else up there. Now, as I said, I think the whole point was it's Roll of Honour's the one that everything... Now, again, I've not been at a game in 3 or 4 years now, so I don't know the situation. I don't really know all the issues about the act or not, but it seems to be that from some of the forums, that's what guys are getting lifted for. But to me, it should be about... Remember, we're going to a football game, right? So it should be about... We're going to a football game. It should be about the team. It should
about
be
slagging Sevco.
But no, see, even slagging Sevco. I don't care about Sevco. I care about Celtic. And Pat, I can see what you're talking about the Irishness, but you can go into pubs and sing that. You don't have to be Irish, or you don't need to be Catholic, or you don't need to be, from Scotland or from Ireland to support Celtic. And I think it is this thing of, well, who can be offended, who cannot, and I think that I'm actually all for freedom of speech, and I'm for you should be just about allowed to say within reason anything because of freedom of speech. But I think the club and UEFA are stuck, because suddenly then you have, well, I'm offended by that and I'm not offended by that, and they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I just think, to me, it is that the Green Brigade, you're happy to make that statement. Could we be kicked out of Europe next year for this? Could that cost us 20 million? And I think that's part of that is where Lawwell's sitting going, Jesus Christ, we're talking about sacking people if we don't get into that. We're talking about not signing a whole lot of players because we've suddenly been kicked out. Now, I'll be honest, I can't see it coming to that.
No, I don't think so. There'll be maybe a fine at the worst. But
at what point do they go, do you know what? You've had your comments here, there a few times. You've had, a couple of dodgy banners. You've had guys running onto the field. You've had a bit of fireworks. Do you know what? Say, pull your head in, or you are going to get banned suddenly. I think that, and I think it's a tough one for the club, because I think the club's I do actually think the club wants to support the Green Brigade. There was the kicking out and coming back, and I think there's also times when the Green Brigade don't help themselves. So the one where they had they basically had the illegal march and then got was it kettled and
yeah,
it was that one of, look, fly properly and do it properly. And look, they should be allowed to, if they want to make comments, but I think there's other ones where, do you really need to say that? What's that actually got to do with Celtic?
I think right back at the start when I asked Liam made a great point, and I totally agree, and I've felt this way for many years. There has been, and there is, and there probably always will be. There's an anti-Irish underlying tone in Scotland and in general, and again, if that was another political figure, as we said earlier on, if that was a Che Guevara or somebody like that, or maybe a Catalonian nationalist banner that we had up, there would have been nothing said about it. For the fact it was Bobby Sands that was up there alongside William Wallace, that's the thing that people are getting riled about.
But also, Kev, so I think the issue is, and it's been said for years, when does a terrorist become a freedom fighter type thing? And it is that really fine line. And you've got, you've even got the situation in Australia where there's a whole lot of people love Ned Kelly, but a whole lot of members of police families are saying, actually, he shot some coppers. Let's be clear here. He wasn't, he wasn't taking it, and he wasn't the Robin Hood taking it and giving away to the poor or anything. There's two sides to every story, and I think especially in Ireland with the situation where you've got people going, well, actually they set off a bomb, or the opposite side, the army, everybody sort of involved in it type thing. The army did this to me and kicked in this door or did whatever. I think probably it's too wrong. I don't know what the answer is. Is the answer that an Irish song about the Easter Rising, that's all right because realistically it's about 100 years ago and it's not going to have a direct effect generally on people. I think there is that line of where does it draw? Where does it become a folk song and where is it I suppose a rebel song as such? And I think I think we're still in that zone. And also I think part of it is people don't know when to go, right, we shouldn't sing we shouldn't sing anything else. If you go back, I was actually reading just a thing on the plane yesterday just about the anti-racism at Leeds in I think it was the mid-80s to 90s, and having to draw that out. Now, people could say, and I was saying about freedom of speech, well, back in the day, certainly down south, racism was rife and racial comments inside a stadium was rife. Mm-hmm. And that had to be pushed out, and quite rightly so. And it's just that, as I said, I believe in freedom of speech and people being able to say stuff. But then, at what point do you start saying, "Hold on, that is just downright offensive," sort of thing? And I just think the rebel stuff for some people is still a bit raw. And as I said, where do you draw the line between a rebel song and a folk song?
The debate could go on all night long, Martin, but I'm going to try to wrap it up at that. But I'm sure that's one we might continue at another date. But
after we beat Hearts,
after we beat Hearts, and after we've had a few rebel songs. But
folk song.
Yes, exactly. But guys, I'm going to kind of move along now because before we have got a game coming up against Hearts at the weekend, Scottish Cup. But I'll touch on that briefly before we wrap it up. But Patrick, I believe, now we were hoping, as we said right back at the start of the show, we were hoping Chris McMonigal would come on and give us a bit of an update on our gathering that we're going to have on the Gold Coast next year. It's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be called it is called the Huddle Down Under, and there's quite a number of us going to be travelling to the Gold Coast for this event. But Pat, do you want to maybe share some further information or some updates for anybody listening that's either in Australia or Antipodia, or might be in this part of the world around about that year, or might even just fancy a holiday to come over and sample this the Huddle Down Under when we all get together on the Gold Coast?
So just quickly highlight it. So Chris was coming on, but he's got a work thing that's came up, so he's had to nip off. So he's delegated to me. I'm 2IC for the night.
2IC.
Yes. So it's so basically what it is between
badge made up with that on it.
Well, there's worse things that you could put on it, I suppose. But so anyway, he's between June 6th and June 8th next year. Not June 9th, by the way, that I put on all the banners and posters and stuff. June 9th is when we all fly home. So
some people will be staying and flying home on the 9th, Pat.
Yep. Okay. Well, I blew that one, but officially it finishes on the Sunday night. So but basically what it is a sort of rally or a gathering of Celtic supporters. Initially it was Australia, but we put the invite out to people in New Zealand. So we've been in a little bit of correspondence with some of the New Zealand Celtic supporters as well. So maybe one or two of them will come over. So
what about our friends in Osaka?
Well, he can come if he wants, but it's a long way to come and very expensive just for a weekend piss up. But Liam, you're very welcome to come over. So
I thought the Gold Coast was in Africa. Yeah.
This is another Gold Coast.
Another Gold Coast.
This is a real Gold Coast, yeah. So we should say Surfers Paradise. I was actually getting my even my geography lesson the other day off the wife. So Gold Coast is
like
kind
a
of the region,
slightly more upmarket version in better weather than Blackpool.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
Isn't it, Jim Kidlin?
Just a bit.
Are you going to let me talk or what? I mean, Jesus,
Sorry,
man, I've been building this up all day.
Right, go
So
for
anyway,
it.
so Chris was going to come on and have a chat, but just a work issues came up and he had to nip off. So essentially, when the sort of chats that happen on this stuff, and it was guys like Stephen Harvey, Jim was involved, myself, so there's a few kind of guys just butting heads together, and in truth we weren't really aware of what the sort of response was going to be. So Chris put up a bit of a survey on a website, so if anyone's want to have a look, it's www.gcceltic, so GC as in Gold Coast Celtic.com, so www.gcceltic.com. So he put a bit of a survey up, and in truth the estimates were going to be around, well, probably around the sort of 50 mark, 50-60 mark, and it was just, that's kind of the feedback we're getting. But obviously we've kind of pushed it, and Jim, like Chris has been doing all the donkey work, so don't get me wrong, he's the main boss, he's the dude, so he's been doing all the chasing up and getting boats arranged, and golf clubs and stuff like that for or golf courses, sorry, for like a golf event. So there's a few things going on. There's potentially a football game going on, depends if we can get the numbers for it. There's a band night where some Irish folk songs will probably be getting sung. There's what else is there? There's a boat cruise on the Sunday, and then kind of like not so much a closing ceremony, but just a final night on the Sunday night for people can go up and do speeches on the supporters club and just have a chat about whatever they want, but pretty much getting everyone together.
My dad's just said there's going to be a Bobby Sands banner there as well, Pat.
We can arrange that, yep. And we'll get William Wallace. We'll get a William Wallace one just to balance it out as well. So just so we don't get classified as as terrorist supporters then. But we so the tickets for the boat cruise, kind of unofficially, it wasn't really something that was really out there to push to everyone. But Chris pretty much made a comment on Facebook. Does anyone want one of these? And before you knew it, people started booking. So within 5-6 days, all 70 tickets for the boat cruise were sold. So the thing sold out within a week. So,
and Chris, if you're still listening, I did get your message, and I will square you up.
Oh, here we go. So anyway, so those tickets all went really quickly, and there are a lot of people that missed out. There's some guys from down in Geelong missed out. There's a few guys from Adelaide that we've also got some South Australians flying up as well now. So Sean Stobbs McGinley is flying up, and there's even a radio presenter. I shouldn't really mention the name, but there's a radio presenter in Ballarat who's actually coming now, and he's been tweeting stuff today about it as well, that he's bought his tickets for it. So there's a lot of people. I guess the feedback and the support we've got from Celtic fans down under has been brilliant. So there's no other way you can explain it. So there is obviously the boat cruise is completely sold out, so it's all 70 tickets, and that is just going to be an absolute hoot, I guess. So Chris is doing everything he can to find a larger boat to accommodate obviously the extra people that want to come. The problem being is that bigger boats cost a truckload more money, and we were trying to keep the price down, so it was pretty much like a $25, so what would that be, 10 quid for like a 3-hour boat cruise out in the canals of Surfers Paradise and stuff. So it'll be really nice and whatever, but obviously the money they're going to ask for a bigger boat, I think the boats go from probably what we have to more like a 200-seater kind of thing, and
like a North Sea ferry,
pretty much, and it gets expensive. So he is trying his best. He's trying things out. He has found the venue. So as Jim will probably have a laugh, he's decided, Jim, that the pub he was referring to today, which again we won't name just yet, I'm not sure we're allowed to, is the pub we're going to be based at. And the comment that Chris made today, and Jim will back me up on this, he claims is the best pint of Guinness he has ever tried in Australia.
Oh, and you're going to say in the world, Jim?
In 10 years as well, I believe. So if any Guinness drinkers out there that are coming to the huddle down under, apparently it's as good as you're going to get in Australia.
Jim, how many pints had you had before you decided that was the best pint?
No,
Jim, no, this was Chris.
Chris that said that.
Oh, it was Chris, was it?
It was Chris's thing, so yeah.
So see this pub that shall remain nameless, this might be the pub that myself and Stephen Harvey are going to be basing ourselves at then for a while.
Yeah, well, there's actually rooms upstairs, so too you can go up there and have a wee cuddle when you're a bit drunk as well.
It's a huddle, Pat. It's not a cuddle, it's a huddle.
Oh, you can have a cuddle though. So, anyway. So that's kind of some of the stuff that's going on. So we're also on Facebook as well. So if you go, was it Facebook groups, and then if you just search for Gold Coast Celtic on Facebook, you'll find us. There's a little bit on Twitter as well, which is at GC Celtic. But Facebook seems to be the thing that's taking most people's imagination. So I'm posting stuff in every couple of days. I find like cheap flights somewhere, so I'll just post stuff on there.
Yeah.
For example, there was some cheap flights came up from Perth to Sydney, so not as cheap as the ones I got for you, Kev, but
yeah,
it was still a damn sight cheaper. Kev got from Perth to Sydney for $75, which was exceptional. And $75 again from Perth back from Sydney back to Perth, but they're now up more like $120. But again, if you buy them at full rate, then it's going to be more like $200. So it's just these things. We're trying to do these little things to help people out, but there's other things in the pipeline that I don't want to steal Chris's thunder, but he will tell us about at a later stage. So everything is.
Silly, Pat.
Yep.
Something I did this week. It was something that I won myself a shirt from Magnus Australia, new Celtic top. They know how they've got one of the Facebook groups, and somebody sent me a link to one a couple of months ago about Magnus Australia. I went, yeah, I'll do that. So they put a wee thing up on Facebook about a week ago, and there was a picture of the Celtic shirt and basically glass of Magnus, and it just says how and say a comment where you would wear this. And I went, that's dead easy, man. So I just put a wee comment on it, and it just says, I'm up the Gold Coast with another over 100 boys and girls. Why don't you come and join us? I posted to the link to the Facebook address, and I got the memo yesterday. I won the shirt.
I saw that on Facebook, actually, Jim. Congratulations.
Well, actually, no. Let's take a step back here. Technically, that belongs to the Gold Coast.
No, it doesn't.
You should be donating that, mate. You should be donating that to the cause, because we don't have any money.
No, it's a shame.
Well, you could raffle off and get one of your mates from Scotland to come over, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
No, you know what the thing was? I went and got one about 4 weeks ago for my birthday off my stepdaughter.
Well, Jim, here's an idea, Jim. What to do?
But
right?
It's too late, Pat. For any of your ideas, it's too late. They actually emailed us and asked us what size it is, and I'm actually getting it for my wee boy for his Christmas.
No, Jim, listen. Everybody don't listen for a minute, right? Jim, what to do? Right, get a texter, right, and start signing like Neil Lennon.
Names.
Just sign autographs and then put it on eBay and say, I've got this signed Celtic top. Sign Peter Law.
The secret's out
Craig
now.
White. That would just everybody can listen.
Stephen Harvey just tweeted in to say, I'll try out Friday the Guinness and let you know how it is.
Yeah, he's going up to the Gold Coast to. We're getting a second
time.
opinion. I'm trying to get Jim Kinley up as well. So
on a recce.
So yes.
Right, Pat. Have you got anything else to say then? Because I know you need to get to your beddy buys because you've got work in the morning, son.
I've got to be at work at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Yeah. So no, just again, are we doing notices and stuff, or are we?
Yes, we will. But have you got anything else to say about the Gold Coast extravaganza? It's still there's been a lot of planning going on, guys. So let's not forget that. But we've got still quite a while yet, which is brilliant. So everybody or anybody that's listening, spread the word as well, because it's shaping up to be a great long weekend on the Gold Coast next year.
That's the thing I was going to ask for people. Like, obviously, the majority of people listening to this would be back in Scotland or Ireland. There's been one or two people, like relatives of people who are coming that are asked questions about what's happening and how to get there and stuff. So just one or two, not many. But if anybody listening to this has relatives in Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, any of that sort of Papua New Guinea, Osaka, who you think might be interested, then just you can email. I mean, Chris, there's another one. His email is admin@gcceltic.com, so you can email Chris on that one. Now we are saying the boat cruise is the only thing that's sold out. Everything else is still available. So we've still got the golf day. We've still got the band night, all that sort of thing. There's all these other things going on.
Night.
Yep. So the stuff on Sunday night is still okay. So it's really the boat cruise that's that Chris is sort of try to push a little bit. So things are bit by bit. The building blocks are getting put there, and the guy's doing a brilliant job. And this all came from an idea, I believe, which is a chat between himself and Stephen Harvey over beer one day, and said, you know what we should do? And all of a sudden it's turned into this flipping monster. The poor guy is having to deal with a lot, including messages from me every 5 minutes about we should do this, we should do that. So again, we've got some ideas, we'll promote them a little bit sort of down the track. But anybody who has relatives in Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, basically this neck of the world, let them know about it. www.gcceltic.com, and hopefully we'll see some of them up in the Gold Coast.
Great stuff. Now, Pat, I'll maybe I'll wait because I know you've got another few little notices that you might want to talk about, but I'll let you draw breath just now. But we'll try to wrap this up now. So I'll go round the folks here, and if you want to give any mentions or shout outs or anything that's happening at your local Celtic supporters club, or your part of the world. Martin, I'll come to you first of all. Have you got anything you'd like to say, buddy? Shout outs or anything?
Well, Pat will take care of the supporters club because he's good at that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
For myself, I'd still do a big shout out to my nephews, Jack, who's a lifelong Celtic supporter, and his little brother Billy, who's a Barcelona supporter, who I have got a bet on with. And if we don't beat Barcelona by the same score as they beat us or more, I will Billy $10 and basically get it right up you, Billy, because you're a Barcelona supporter, you're a glory hunter, and just get it right up you. So apart from that, the general shout outs to anybody back in Scotland or Ireland or whatever that knows me, a big hello to you, and that's about me. Oh, and actually, sorry, no. All three of my children, Charlie, Eddie and Harvey, a big shout out to you, and Daddy loves you. Alright?
Oh.
So that they don't go cocoa bananas tomorrow again when I've missed them out.
Martin, are you not going to promote your little sporting achievement that you did recently? Or?
No, because no, I'm not, because I had to pull out part of the way during the swim leg because it was too rough, so I didn't want to talk about it. But if you want to talk about it,
I think he did he did a bit of a triathlon, guys. So
a bit of a triathlon.
Yeah, so I think he did really well.
It's more of a bit of a triathlon than I've ever done, Martin. So fair play to you.
Look, it's something I've been trying to get myself fit, and the only thing actually I was never actually a great swimmer because realistically, swimming at Saltcoats was never a wonderful thing, and
Jobs in the mouth and all that.
So I realised about a week, 9 days before the triathlon was the first time I'd ever actually swam in the sea. Like, I may have went and pissed around at sort of Saltcoats type thing, but to actually physically go in and go, right, swim from one place to another, I'd actually never done that. I'd obviously did a bit in swimming pools, but I'd actually had some swimming lessons this year. But yeah, got round the first buoy, was going for the second, got hit with 4 or 5 waves, so had to ended up pulling the pin on the swim, but did the bike leg and the run and was pretty happy with it. And I've booked myself in 12th of Jan for the next one in St Kilda, and I'm going to have a crack at that one and see can I complete one this time. So aye.
Martin, it's better getting hit by waves than hit by sharks, mate.
Or jobbies.
Or jobbies.
You are swimming off St Kilda, so yeah. Good luck with that.
Jimmy Kinlan, I'll come to you now. Anything you'd like to say, Jim?
Nah, not really. I'm anti-social. I'm going to my bed. No, honestly, I would just like to say, honestly, see Pat, he keeps on running himself down on, how much Chris is doing in this. I know Chris is doing heaps on it. Yep. But this thing for the Gold Coast, Pat, the 2 years, it was like that wee post I just said, build it and they will come. Man, everybody's coming now. We said you thought you'd only get 50. Man, we're going to end up with about 200. And I don't think people should get put off because of the boats being booked up. They will get a bigger boat. They'll get a much bigger boat because this is just going to grow and grow because there's still another 7 months to go.
And the website does look pretty smart as well if people just go to it.
There's more and more people just joining, even on the site. There's just like over 100 people looking at it and stuff. It's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So nothing else, Jam? Nothing else happening in Sydney you want to give any shout-outs for or anything?
Nah, not really. Nah, it's just... no, that's it. Just being Hearts at the weekend, no days. Get back on track. Football took a wee bit of a dive during the week, so it's just got to pull itself up again.
Hopefully, Jim. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Liam,
yeah.
what about yourself? What's happening in Osaka? Have you started that CSC yet?
No, but I tell you what, I found out last week there's a couple of Servconians in my work.
Oh, fuck. Ah, yeah, out loud. Jim, is that you with that mic?
Telling you,
I'm
man.
not even touching anything.
It's flashing on Skype. I can see it's you. Just
Well,
Jesus,
there
man.
must be something wrong with my connection. Honestly, I am not moving.
Sorry, Liam, you were talking about two Sevconians at your work.
Aye, basically what happened was we've got this thing we're doing tomorrow. I've got to get up early tomorrow for a Saturday shift. I don't normally do because we're having like a fun day for all the school kids, like using English and playing sports and whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a wee bit at the start where they say like, "What country are you from?" You've got to stand up and tell everybody what country you're from. Tell them a wee bit about your country.
Yeah.
So our boss has written a list on the board of all the countries, right?
Yeah.
And listed there is like US, UK, whatever. And I said, he says, have I missed anything? I says, aye, Scotland's no there.
Yeah.
He says, we've got UK. I says, aye, but I don't identify myself as British. I'm Scottish.
Good man, Liam.
And he was like, oh, no problem. Then we'll just change it. And this dick behind me, who I've never spoken to before in my life, puts his hand up and he says, oh, but wait a minute. No. I'm from England, but I'm British. I'm not English. I says, well, that's your problem. And he starts on about, but you're one of Her Majesty's subjects as well. I says, don't go there, son. You know,
you're at this stage.
Cut a long story short, the dick pulls out his ID card and shows me that he was born in Lark Hall. I thought, that tells us what you are, son.
It's a small world, Liam.
Oh, God.
So
get it right up, you zombie half-wit.
Strong words, Liam.
So,
Strong words.
Hopefully this is giving you even more incentive to start this Osaka CSC then.
Well, I guess so.
Hey, Liam, don't worry, because when I was going through my my music collection for the Gold Coast stuff, I was thinking, I don't have 3 hours worth of tunes to play. And sure enough, I went through, did the collection, and this isn't all of it. This is just the stuff I thought we could play. 9.5 hours.
There you
so
go.
if you want some of that 9.5 hours, let me know, and we'll just stick that over the tannoy. That'll really be Jesus out of him.
The party tunes, as they say. The party tunes.
Folk tunes.
Folk tunes, yeah. Some folk music.
Anyway, I'll turn to my dear old dad now, Jamesy Cotter. And thank you for making your debut on the show.
No problem.
And would you
when I get home, 2 weeks' time, I'll be back to Coatbridge.
Yeah.
And I'll be getting a quote from a regular bus provider, JJ Travel Coatbridge.
Oh, good wee advert there.
Yeah, a bus to the Gold Coast.
They actually did. There is there used to be, I can't remember, is it still there? You could maybe Google it, but there used to be an Ozbus that ran from London to Sydney. It used to go right across Asia, and then it'd cross get a ferry across. So yeah, it used to happen. But yeah, there you go, JJ Travel. Just get a bus. You better set off just after Christmas. You'll make it in time. So any shout-outs to the old... I usually give a good shout-out to the Ergo Bra CSC in Coatbridge, but you can do that for us.
Ergo Bra?
Oh, every show.
See you, lads.
That's all good. So, no, thank you very much, Jamesy. It's been nice having you on the show.
Pleasure.
At my side. And I guess I'll just give my usual shout-out to everybody at the Mandara CSC as well. We're looking forward to going down to the Hearts game that we'll maybe wrap the show up with predictions shortly, but we're going down to Friar Tuck's. It's an 8:45 kick-off in WA for the Scottish Cup game on Sunday, so I'll be taking dear old dad down to that, and we'll have a good little experience, I suppose, of Friar Tuck's. It should be a good game. Hopefully we'll get a win. So hello to everybody in the Mandara CSC. Hello to everybody back home in Coatbridge in the Ergo Bra CSC as usual. And I shall now hand over to Pat, because Pat, you've got a few more little notices you'd like to say before we wrap up.
Yeah, I'll just say a couple of hellos and stuff like that. If anyone's listening in Plains, which is just outside Airdrie, can you say hello to my Uncle Thomas for me? Tommy Riley. Everybody knows him, so my dear old Uncle Thomas is the guy that started taking me to the games all those years ago. So thank you very much, sir. If anyone's there, buy him a pint and tell him I love him. So and hello to anyone in it's commonly known as Gormans. So the Willie Gorman's Celtic Supporters Club. So anyone back in Airdrie. So hello to everyone there. But yeah, the couple of quick notices. And you can get this stuff on the hailhailmedia.com website, where you can obviously get details on all the other podcasts, Homeboys, Lost Boys, TikTok, Beyond the Waves, Rebel Podcast, all these sort of guys. So,
you're going to have to name them all now, Pat, if you start listing.
Billy Noel stuff's there. Temporary Stand, are they still doing stuff? I don't even know if they're still doing stuff, but they're all there, hailhailmedia.com. We're there as well, so, and Kev, you still owe me money for that, by the way, you swine that you are.
You'll get it, Pa. I owe plenty of people money, but you'll always get it.
Aye, yeah, just like those tickets that you're going to get, yeah. So anyway, so on hailhailmedia.com you'll find stuff for the Kano Foundation. They've got their annual fundraiser on Saturday the 29th of March next year, so you can get tickets for that. Apparently tickets are going well, but it's their kind of main kind of promotional fundraiser for the year, so if you can support that, that'd be great. Another one is Harper. If anyone listens to the Homeboys will know David Harper, his CSC, which is a St Lawrence CSC, I think is the name of it, from memory.
Yeah.
They've got a calendar, a kind of promo thing called It's a Girl Thing, which they've actually even got a promotional video for it, which is quite nice, I've got to say. If you even go to YouTube, there's Hail Hail Media kind of stuff on YouTube as well. So, and it's raising money for it was two things, for the Kano and also for Alzheimer's Society of Ireland. So that's a nice sort of touch. They're selling these calendars of pretty girls dressed in Celtic gear. So from what I saw, it was €8 it cost. I can't remember the stuff for delivery, but just go into Hail Hail Media, you'll see at the banner at the top the stuff on there. So.
Yeah.
And I guess last is, and it's a bit of a sad note, for anybody who is caught up in the whole, I guess, craziness, of the whole Rangers tax case stuff, will remember a blogger, which was, what was it called? Sorry, I've got it here, Random Thoughts of Scottish Law. A guy called Paul McConville. He was a fairly prominent blogger during that whole sort of situation, and some of the stuff was just gold. I was... night upon night. I mean, probably a lot of people were doing the same thing. You were going to Rangers tax case, reading whatever was there, and this became, I guess, fairly popular with Celtic fans. His blog as well. But the ironic thing was, he's not actually a Celtic fan. He's an Albion Rovers supporter, believe it or not. So he's a Coatbridge lad, Kev.
Yeah.
And he died during the week. So it's kind of a sad thing, really, because again, it'd be a name that's familiar to a lot of us. So. But the even sadder thing, he was 47 years old, and he leaves behind a wife and I think at least one kid, maybe a couple of kids. So let that be an eye opener for you boys. That it's if someone like that can pass away, 47 years old, and a fairly successful man in what he did apparently, and in the sort of log industry in Glasgow. So rest in peace, Paul McConville. But I think that's, I know it's a sad note to leave on, but yep, thank you very much for. Some very pleasurable reading in all those times. Thank you very much, sir.
So, what's happening at the? Well, I guess before I just ask what's on for the Jock Stein CSC in Melbourne part as well, let's quickly go around the guys before we do wrap this up. I always take an hour to wrap this up. It's always the same, but we have got a Scottish Cup game away to Hearts on Sunday. Very, very quickly, Martin, I'll ask you, what's your score prediction, mate?
5-0 to Celtic.
Lovely, Martin.
Right.
Jimmy
I was confident last time I said 4. People scoffed at me.
Well, this is true.
5-0.
5 will never score 5. 2-0. 2 half Pookie's arse, probably.
That'll do for me, though, Jim. Liam?
3-1.
3-1. Still a victory, though. That's the Celtic, I hope.
Oh, aye. That's all right.
Jamesy?
Well, the old cliche, Celtic will be playing, there'll be a wounded animal. 4-0 Celtic.
Oh, lovely. I think I will go for, I think I'll go for 2-0 Celtic. 2-0 Celtic, I reckon. Patrick?
I was going to say 3-1, but Liam's stolen that. So what did everyone, you've got 2-0. Does anyone get 2-1? Anyone pick that?
Nah.
No, I'll take 2-1 then. I was going to say 3-1, but yeah, I reckon 2-1. But yeah, going to be a tough game, I reckon. And I've taken the Monday off so I can watch it. It's on at 2 o'clock in the morning here, so.
So you'll be
it's an early kickoff, isn't it? Sorry,
it's well,
12.
it'll be what 11:45 for you guys.
11 hours, yeah. So.
Yep.
So yes, I've got the Monday off, so I'll watch a game, which would be nice. But anyway.
Good.
Yep. So again, anyone in Melbourne, just quickly, Jockstein CSC. There's not much happening for us guys because the clocks change and it stuffs up all the kickoff time. So, yeah, keep in touch and all that. So JSCSC Melbourne, that's on Twitter, and JocksteinCSCMelbourne.com I think is for the website. I'll need to double check that, but yep, anyone in Melbourne passing through, get in touch. There's a few sort of die-hard boys down here, but I say unfortunate for us, just the clocks changing is kind of stuffed up our kind of social aspect of our club because everything's on really, really late. But
that's what happens when you live on the East Coast, Pat. And as I'll say again, come over to the West Coast, 8:45 p.m. kickoff, beautiful time to watch football. Friar Tuck's warming up for the Mandara CSC. I'll always have a good night in there. So, come along. If anybody's in the
blah, 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 blah.
anybody's in the South Perth area, come along to Mandara and watch.
And don't forget, by the way, next week.
Celtic.
Don't forget next week the Motherwell game is on Saturday morning our time as well. So it's a Friday night game back in Scotland.
Ah, right, okay.
So
Wonderful.
it's 7:47 in the morning kickoff here, I think. That's
Okay,
next
so let's wrap it up, Pat. What have we got to play us out tonight?
Oh, just the normal shenanigans.
Just the normal. We love just the normal, because that's what makes the show.
Yeah, I apologise. I've just noticed there's stuff in the chat room, and I haven't even had the Spreaker window open. So apologies everyone who was posting in there. There wasn't that many.
And we only had a handful of tweets tonight, but I'll give a shout out to Alistair Jack, who did tweet in earlier on as well. So sorry, I'm just getting to this now, Alistair. But great show, he says. But the attack's not been good in Europe. Not good, guys. Not good. I hope that's the attack you're talking about, Alistair, not this podcast. But yeah, thanks to everybody that has contributed. Everybody that's come on the show tonight, and everybody that's tweeted in or been in the chat room, and hopefully you enjoy the show if you're listening back later on. But other than that, guys, I think we'll wrap it up, Patrick. So hail, hail, everyone.
Hail, hail, boys.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, I'm still scratching